Welcome, one and all, to the MTV Spring Break. I am your host, Mario Lopez. Actually, that show has been preempted. We're going to be covering Tesla's Q3 earnings report, expected in about a half an hour. We've got so far James Stevenson. He cannot underscore enough. We've got Mark from the Tesla Life joining us. This is going to be a big one. We've got a whole bunch more guests coming in. Some will only be able to stay for a limited time, but we're going to get some expert analysis and the best jokes on X and YouTube. Stay tuned. Those are both guaranteed, or your no money back. So, guys, first of all, we're looking at Wall Street. They've got some a consensus number apparently of 53 cents earnings per share. Thoughts on that?
Wall Street is always wrong.
So are we. So are we. James will be the first to tell you.
Yes. Whatever the first rule of forecasting is, whatever you forecast, it will be wrong. I think everybody who has a pretty good forecast has one at or above, or I think Matt Smith's is very close. It's a penny below the Wall Street estimate. So probably they didn't overbid.
Okay. Now, my question is, we're looking at last year's number of 72 cents a share. This was a quarter where we drew down inventory by 50,000 units. Surely that's going to have an upside. And we're seeing record deployments of Megapack. Those are big dollar items. I know because I tried to get one at the dollar store and all they would give me was AA's. Is this something that they're reasonably factoring in, or are they going back to the dartboard?
They seem to be soft on Megapacks and have traditionally been so for a while. But I think that over time, they're starting to realize that this is a real facet of Tesla's business, and it's a growing facet. So I'm hopeful that the analysts out there are understanding that this is now a key component of Tesla's earning dollars. But as for other things to factor in, of course, we just had the end of the $7,500 federal credit in the U.S., and we had a whole bunch of people get off the fence and decide to get their car. And as Brian mentioned, that of course caused a drawdown of inventory that's out there. They got them into people's hands, and that's going to help as well. But I think that I think Wall Street's a bit light, but we shall see.
We shall see indeed. So James, do you have a prediction? You can just do over under on 53 cents. That's what our poll is.
I'm over. I had the highest EPS forecast estimate of any of the ones that Hedgie tweeted out yesterday. 82 cents. So that's where I am. I never look at anybody else's forecast until I'm done making mine, and that's where it shook out. So probably, I'm guessing high again on revenue. I tend to do that. But yeah, you made a good point about the delivering more vehicles than you produce during a quarter as it pertains to free cash flow. I expect to see a really good free cash flow number from Tesla, but it doesn't help you as much on the GAAP earnings line, because the way you do accrual accounting, if you end the quarter with a bunch of vehicles on hand, those just sit on the balance sheet as assets until you sell them later, and then you get to make money on the difference between your asset recorded at cost versus however much you can sell it for.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that makes some sense. Of course, our viewers are probably more optimistic than Wall Street because they're watching this show. That also means that they're better people. I said it. I don't think we even need to argue about that.
No, that's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the say.com questions because there's some fun ones here. The apparently top rated question: what are the latest metrics? Do you think we'll get an answer to this? When will the safety driver
jump in here right now and say I was not Jimmy S. I didn't submit any questions to say.com. I'm James Stevenson, but I'm not Jimmy S. These are not my questions.
That's hilarious. So do you think they will tell us when the safety hitchhiker will be removed and any of the obstacles preventing unsupervised?
I'll answer your question with a question. Have you ever been in a high stakes poker game where you asked your opponent, "Hey, what kind of cards do you have in your hand over there?" And they just turned them around and showed them to you
Oh.
before you were done betting?
So not the second part. The first part, absolutely. I always
Oh.
ask. And
At the end, yes.
no, I ask right in the beginning. What they tell me, not the most forthcoming. Turns out I'm bad at reading a bluff. Yeah, that is my expectation as well, as that this is, premature. It's in pilot phase. Let them do their pilot.
I have a feeling you're going to get an answer to the question, but as Brian has mentioned, it's not going to be that much of a forthcoming answer. It's going to be a generality, and it's going to be a dance around it and just indicate that, well, we're just going to follow where things are going, and based on that, we'll make changes as we see fit.
Someone was saying that
they might
it is
say-
out. The numbers are out.
Already?
Yep.
Apparently
Wow.
so. Let's see if I
Okay.
can share this tab. So that was quick. Boy, I really forced their hand this quarter.
I expected it at 4:45. They are very early.
Wow. All right. Well, let's read as fast as we can. This so I can see. My goodness. Okay. EPS gap 62 cents, non-gap 72 cents. That's a beat, my
All
friends.
Yep.
I don't
You
think
nailed it.
Peggy nailed it. That's nice. I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know who was where. I don't try to. I know it's not my expertise. I don't try to predict earnings per share. Thankfully, because who knew? I don't know what my number would have been. I didn't try. Let's see. Yeah. So, what have we got here that's interesting? Total automotive revenues, 20 billion. Not as big of a jump. Wait, Q4. Oh, that's 24. I see. Oh, I was in the wrong spot. Oh, no, never mind. That was a year ago I was looking at. Oh, no. 39 cents gap, 50 cents non-gap.
Oh,
I was
that
looking,
completely changes the picture.
yeah, that was a year ago. 50 cents. Wow. Wall Street was within a couple pennies.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
What?
Share.
It's a different story.
It is a different story. 50 cents. That surprises me. Let's add Randy Kirk to the mix. Randy, have you seen the numbers? They have just dropped.
They did already. Oh my gosh, no, I haven't.
Okay, you pop over and do that. And I mean, well, just the highlight: 39 cents a share gap, 50 cents non-gap.
50 cents. That's low.
That's low. That strikes me as a bit low.
Has anybody figured out what the problem is?
No,
Operating
because this
expenses are high.
What is?
why?
Operating expenses are high.
What about margins? Well, that's right. It takes a while to figure that out.
Mhm. Energy was at 3.5 billion. Sales and other revenue was at 3.5 billion, up. Both of those up well from the previous quarter. Total revenue up 6 billion from the previous quarter, but not very exciting.
Yeah. What's happening to the stock?
Interesting.
Let's see here.
Yeah, there's something hitting it because
It's down.
the margin was up from 17.2% to 18%.
Really?
Cash balance is up a lot. Free cash flow is very strong. $4 billion worth of free cash flow. So they got the big free cash flow lift that I expected from selling a lot more cars than they produced.
Right.
Those are all good, but there is bad news lurking in the expenses, I guess, someplace. The gross margin looks okay. So there is a surprise expense someplace. We need to go figure out.
Figure out where. Storage deployed 12.5. Yes. Tesla locations up a little bit. Mobile service fleet up by 15 units. Supercharger stations up substantially.
Yeah.
We knew it was a good quarter for that. We'd seen that last quarter they were apparently deploying a charger every 32 minutes. Let's see. Yeah. Reiterating their capacity on these on each of the lines. Cybercab and Semi say in construction. Roadster says design development. That's a thing, I suppose. Market share. Interesting. The chart on FSD miles on version 12 and beyond is still climbing nicely. 11 and before, what does that include? Oh, I see. It doesn't include any new ones because those are outmoded. And good, because I was not a fan of version 11. Energy services growth, huge. Energy deployments, lumpy but big. Anybody have a page they wish me to go to?
So the increase in energy.
I'm still keying stuff in. Nothing can hide from my waterfall chart.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Randy, you were saying?
Oh, the energy increase is about 600 million is all. I think I was figuring the energy increase is going to be a lot more than that. So maybe the unit cost or sell price of the energy was not as much as we thought. Because that would be 20, maybe 25% increase, and we have way more than a 25% increase in deployments. Yeah, there's a big one.
So energy margins are squished, you're thinking?
I don't think margins. I think sell price. So unit sell price or unit of energy.
Okay. Well, we've got Brian Wayne to add to the stage. Oh, Brian, you've got real static, and I can hear an echo.
Okay.
I have to get off for a second.
Yeah. I'm going to need you to get your sound adjusted, and give me a thumbs up when you think you're ready, because it's all static and echo. I think it's coming through your speakers instead of your headphones.
All right, Brian, I have keyed in all the numbers. I have an updated waterfall chart for you that shows by line item how much I missed on my forecast. I can present that if you would like.
Yes, please. I'm going to add Matt here. Matt, what have you seen the numbers? What you got for it?
I got out of a client meeting like 2 minutes ago. I will admit to peeking at the numbers on that. I'm not terribly surprised. I was kind of surprised that I was the low man on the earnings per share estimate. So I'll count that as a small win. I think I'm finally dethroning James Catt as the most accurate analyst in the last several quarters.
Nice.
But no, I probably need a second to digest this because I really just saw the headline numbers.
Certainly. Well, we've got James's. Oh, is this it?
That is. Well, I'm still seeing on the screen the earnings release. Oh, that's not the right screen, is it? Let me try a different screen. I got to hit the stop screen button before I can hit the share screen button. And
Let's
then
see
I can go to entire
sound
screen.
Sorted out.
I'm not testing now.
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay.
Brian, real quick, what's your takeaway so far?
Well, a bit disappointed that earnings didn't come out better, but I guess it was whatever charges. Hadn't really seen what the issues were, but we knew there was a chance that the charges would be there. But other than that, the actual revenue and energy stuff, those all came out good. Just it didn't seem to flow through to the final earnings numbers. The cash flow was great, almost $4 billion there. So, and then there was a nice section on their AI, which is good to see a large section on discussing their AI moves and FSD.
Breaking it out. Okay, James, what do we got here?
All right. Every quarter when the earnings come out, I tweet out how much I missed by P&L line item. And this is that waterfall chart walking you from the $2.9 billion worth of earnings I expected in my Q3 forecast versus the $1,594,000 Tesla just reported. And these are the differences. So a bunch of these numbers are really small. I got a 0 here and a 0 and a 2 for some of these P&L line items that I guessed exactly right. But the ones that I missed on big were energy, generation, and storage. 1.3 million less got reported by Tesla than I thought we would see. And the other biggest miss was the cost of sales related to that. So they're just moving a lot less product than I thought they would in my forecast. Now, maybe my forecast was just good old-fashioned wrong. Well, it was wrong. You can tell that it's wrong.
Yeah, I think
by looking at it.
Again, James, look at it. It's got to be, because we know what the deployments were. So what they've basically done is they're charging way less for per gigawatt hour because the margins are fine, 31.5%.
Yeah, I guess so. So apart from that, not a lot of giant misses, but a lot of small misses going in the same direction. So automotive was a miss that wasn't offset by cost of sales savings. So you've got the revenues here. And then this was the automotive cost of sales. Ooh, not that much better. So yeah, revenues were missing, and below the line items were more expensive. So the restructuring and other, which I think includes Bitcoin now under the new treatment for digital assets. You're supposed to record them at the net after tax impact. So the idea there being you used to only have to record an impairment against your digital assets, your Bitcoin, if the value fell during the quarter, and they changed that to market, which means every quarter you update it for how much the value has changed by. But the caveat with that is you have to tax affect the change in the Bitcoin, meaning if the value of the Bitcoin went up by $1 billion, but you would owe 0.2 billion in taxes, then you call out the 0.8. The net of those two is the net impact. So you'll see two different numbers reported, and it'll confuse you in the investor letter if you're not paying attention. One of them is the total change in the value of the Bitcoin Tesla holds, and the other one is the net after-tax change, which is very funny because you're not selling your Bitcoins. There's no realized cash gain from sale, and there's no actual tax payment associated with it because there was no transaction to tax. It's just how they have adopted the new standard, the new crypto asset standard. It says in the footnote, if you read it.
Interesting. Jordan, you have just arrived. I don't know if you've had a chance to digest it. We're looking at a very small 3-penny miss on earnings per share. Very disappointing to all of us who thought for sure it was going to be a beat, and it wasn't. Any thoughts you're prepared to share?
I just started looking at it.
Yep,
I was doing
I figured.
scripting. But thank you for the quick update. I was curious what I hopped on to X, and the first thing I saw is they made some comments on lithium refining and LFP battery manufacturing. So I won't disrupt your financial discussion at the moment.
Great. We'll come back to you when we get to that.
So I think the energy was probably 3 cents of it.
Oh,
So you're looking at quite a substantial reduction in gigawatt or dollars per gigawatts. And then you have a slight increase in the margin, and the two things work out to, I think, around 3 cents. If I did all my math right, some of which was done on my head, so there's always that.
We don't need a glimpse inside your head, Randy. I think we've done enough without. We've done fine. So looking at A question I would have for everybody is, considering we're now seeing that we saw record sales, we did not see huge incentives. I didn't notice huge expedites at the end of the quarter to get units out. It looked like they were doing a reasonable job. Why wasn't the automotive margin better? Why wasn't the automotive revenue better?
What did the earnings? I mean, sorry, the sales price, average sales price, and the margins coming out on cars.
I'm looking for it now. Automotive revenue, 21 billion. Let me add this here. I guess I have to remove this, add this. 21 billion. And the margin is 18% rather than 17.2. But I guess we're up 6 billion in total automotive revenue. Or I guess total revenue.
I'll just share that. I mean, this is all reasonably close to where my model was. So like, I wasn't actually too surprised on the energy side of it. And then on the automotive side, one of the reasons I didn't have a higher margin assumed in my numbers was because they were selling so many cars in inventory. Meaning, if they had been producing at full capacity, let's just say they hypothetically produced 500,000 vehicles or something like that, the gross margin on the overall vehicles would be higher, and then the cost of goods the cost of goods sold on the vehicles that are in inventory would be a bit lower. But what they did instead is they sold a very high quantity of vehicles that were actually produced in Q2. That were inventory cars. And, I think they were still ramping up a lot of the new Model Y at that point. So presumably the margins weren't as good then as they would be now that they're running, more or less at full steam out of those factories. So that's one piece of it that, went into my thinking.
A good question here. Rhett wants to know any expenses related to Elon's comp due to the preliminary Delaware findings.
Oh,
no. Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, that was easy. There you go, Rhett. Let's see. Do we have any thoughts or concerns that we haven't addressed yet, or are we still digesting? I think Brian Wang dropped off to give it a read. But yes, let me pull this back up. Here we go. Kind of small. I apologize for those viewing in mobile. Revenue, we've got increase in vehicle deliveries. Yes. Growth in energy generation and storage. Yes. Growth in service and other. Lower regulatory credit revenue. For sure.
Yes. How much?
Anyone see that yet?
It wasn't a huge number. I think it was like 400 some million.
So still going. Let's see. Is it on here?
It was 417 million, which is the lowest it's been in 5 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
What was it last quarter, James?
Last quarter, it was 525. No, it was 439.
439.
Yeah. So it's not.
What page are you on?
23.
Page 26. No, page 23.
There we are.
James, you had also mentioned the mark to market on Bitcoin. I didn't hear what number you said.
Yeah, so that number is in the reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP financial information. So if you want to know stock-based compensation expense net of tax, it's on page 26 on the second row, and it's $459 million net of tax. But that would be more like 0.6 billion.
Up or down?
Before tax.
Up or down?
Well, that was. I think the question was on the Bitcoin,
Bitcoin
which was a $62 million gain.
A gain. Okay.
Oh, it's one more row down. Minus 62 million negative, which is a gain. But you can tell from the description that gain is in parentheses and loss isn't. So if it's a negative number, it's a gain.
So Matt, you had the number right, and we're still not figuring out why this is 2/3, or even if it's only 20% lower than kind of the average estimate out there. Is there anything jumping out at anybody?
I guess my question is, what was everyone else estimating? Because like to me, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well,
I'm sure.
Grok had it at 88 cents.
I saw a few different numbers from Grok. I think he gives everybody their own bespoke answer when they ask.
Yeah. Well, I did load it. I did load it with information. I told him not to consider certain things, but
that's Grok for you. Yeah. I do enjoy when people tell me that something is definitely true because Grok told them. Grok is very good at synthesizing information that's well established, less well at trying to predict the future. I think it's no more accurate than all of the people online making guesses as well. That's what it's trained on.
So Matt, my stupid math was just to say, look, we had this much increase in energy. So there's that and at a margin, that's this much increase in gap. And then we had this much increase in auto. And so if we just assume it's at the same average margin and same selling price, then we would have this much increase in auto. So we had increases in both of those things. But maybe it was, but what's the offset? Is there anything that went down to offset those increases?
Well, I mean, they did. So one of the things that maybe why we might be having a little bit of difficulty is they did say there was a note in there that said there was lower recognition of deferred FSD revenue this quarter relative to the prior year's quarter because they didn't ship some of the updates to Cybertruck as an example. So this is something that I think most people don't actually model. I do have it in mind. But I was, let me go in here. So this is something that can get like really hard if there was, there's some amount of FSD margin that is inherent in your automotive gross margin. And so if, let's say last year there was $200 million of deferred FSD revenue that was recognized, and this year there was none, because you delivered the functionality to almost all of the vehicles that bought it, then that could be a reason that you're not getting that, that it's like a one-time benefit when you release some of this deferred FSD revenue, but because they've been consistently increasing the performance and delivering additional capabilities for so long, they've been presumably just like leaking a bit of this deferred FSD revenue quarter after quarter after quarter. And it's been, according to my math, hundreds of millions of dollars per quarter. So if that was all of a sudden zero for one quarter, that could potentially be a reason that the numbers aren't exactly spiking.
Right.
I don't think it was probably zero, but it was probably lower than is inherent in most people's models.
A question I have on deferred FSD is if someone, if Tesla knows a vehicle is totaled, can they just claim 100% of it, or do they have to wait for it to be solved on a vehicle that will never be driven again?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know how they
would think of the
it.
debits and credits of that. I mean, you can't deliver the functionality at that point, but I don't know what the journal entry would be. I'm curious, James, what you think.
I've never heard this question asked before, and I've never wondered it myself either. Can you go ahead and take the rest of the revenue if you know the vehicle has been totaled? Maybe you can. Like you've already taken the money onto your balance sheet, right?
And it is end of line, so that's it.
I would have to defer to somebody who actually is a CPA to get an answer.
I think you'd need to defer to an attorney on that one.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe that too. The legal department might have something to say about that. Yes.
All right, so we have got Brian back in the house. You've had a chance to look at it a bit more. Anything you wish to share with us?
I actually had not had time to look at the deck more because I had to step away to do something else. So I apologize. Let me take a look and catch up. Well,
okay. No worries there. Did I boot Matt? I guess Matt is done. He is heading out for another greener pasture, I suppose. Matt, you will be missed. Anyone have any line items they have found they wish to discuss? Great.
Anybody know how to sing?
Not well enough, I'm thinking. Let's see here. With U.S. sales likely going to be a bit of a drag this quarter because so many sales were pulled forward, what I've long been saying is that if you had a chance to, if on the end of September they announced, okay, 3 more months, we get 1 more quarter, 3 months of additional IRA, would that matter? And my thought is not that much. I think everyone who was able to schedule their purchase pulled their purchase back into September. And that means that this quarter in the US, which is a large market, not the largest market for Tesla, would be a drag either way. Thoughts, anyone?
Yeah, I think there is going to be a drag in the fourth quarter because of that. That makes complete sense because the people that were on the fence have pulled the trigger. They've jumped in with both feet, and now they're not going to be on the fence. They're not going to be a possibility in the fourth quarter. We've seen this with other credits that are given in other countries too, that you get to the point where you get a saturation, you get an end date, and everybody gets in that can get in, and you're going to experience a downtrend for the next quarter.
For sure.
What was the lead time on deliveries towards the end of the quarter? Like, for instance, for the people who ordered just before the cutoff date for the credit, like how many weeks out, like how much was that? Because as long as that, my understanding was as long as they ordered before that deadline, they could still take delivery of the vehicle. So I'm just wondering how many weeks of tax credit vehicles they might have, if somebody knows that.
So that would depend on the model, but most likely it's only a couple of weeks out.
Mm-hmm. My understanding is that there were a lot. They tried to get to pepper in as much of all kinds of inventory as they could that qualified as far and wide as they could. So I don't think it's going to go much past a couple of weeks. We haven't heard about unusual delays of specific trims like, oh no, they're out of white seats. So I don't expect those deliveries to go past October. If anyone's heard something otherwise. In terms of sales of the new, more affordable ones, I haven't seen much on social media. Doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means that we are probably in a different bubble. I do know Tesbros bought a Model Y standard, presumably because they want to make all the accessories for it. And they said if they got enough likes on their post, they're going to cut through the headliner to see what's under there, which I think is a hilarious.
I think they're going to do that
idea.
regardless, Brian.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're going to find industrial strength adhesive, right? And an opaque glass, I think, is what I heard from Lars, right?
Yeah.
You can't see through this glass.
Right.
It is much cheaper to make the glass without having to do the precision, tapered coloring on the sides there.
Well, Q4 should benefit from Model Y long in China. Q4, I had Lutz on earlier today, and that show won't be on until tonight, but he thinks that Europe will do better in the fourth quarter than they did in the third quarter. And then you've got energy, which should be up another couple of 3 gigawatt hours. So we could kind of balance out whatever losses happen in the US with those 3 pieces.
I had a viewer share a story with me today in Dutch. The story was Model X is coming back to Europe. And he shared the story and said, do you notice anything weird about it? And I read it. I'm like, and not in Dutch, I translated it. And I read it and I said, no, what's weird? He said, there's nothing political in this story. This is the shift is underway back to just talking about the cars. And I thought that was a catch that I wouldn't have made without it being pointed out to me. It's that's encouraging. We know China sales are good. We know China is maxed out, except that we're hearing rumors that China production can double from who is it, the vice president of operations or something in China has said, with the new designs, we can produce a lot faster. And then that becomes a matter of can they sell them? And with the addition of the Model Y L, and I assume at some point the Model Y S, that will continue fueling demand.
So even if you just keep your averages up at this 90,000 level, if the Model YL helps to keep us up at 90,000 a month, that would generate, I think, about 40 to 50,000 more units than last quarter. And that might be enough to offset the 40 or 50,000 we lose in the US. And then you got energy as the positive.
Indeed. Brian, did you have something to share?
Yeah, so I'm just mainly hoping, and where I expect the outperformance to happen is with China, with the YL, and that beyond just the more conservative, at least this much approach, I think that they can get a significant production increase to get to 100,000, 110, 120,000 per month with their vehicles. And that the more can happen that way. So I think the surprises on the positive side on the car production is from YL and from China.
Jordan, I have a question for you about batteries. We are seeing the Megafactory Shanghai spooling up. We are seeing the Dallas facility being built, or is that Houston?
Houston, I think.
Houston being built. Why aren't we building these around the world? Are there enough cells? If Tesla were to say, look, we're going to announce 3 new megafactories, could they supply them? Is there enough to go around?
Yes. It's tricky for us here in the United States because with tariffs and all the other things that are going on. So it is more difficult in the US to make them profitable. However, it's such a desirable product that I had a discussion with RoMotion, and Tesla's actually passing the additional cost directly onto the customer, is my understanding. So I thought it would have a big hit on margin, but apparently not. And this is something, I'm glad you bring this up, because they have the Megapack factory spooling up in China, the one in Houston, which it's probably going to be sometime next year, I'm assuming. So I think they need to have more lined up if they want to continue growing at triple digits, as they said before, 100, 200, 300% per year. So I would think that maybe later this year or early next year, they could make some more announcements or start breaking ground on some new sites. That's what I'm hoping.
With the margin that we see out of those factories, if you look at what I like to say is, if you look at the profit made in Lathrop at the Megafactory, it's about $5 million a day. Maybe not this quarter, but the previous quarter. They are making more money than if they were running a counterfeiting operation. It's amazing. With that much money coming in, would it be possible to have a Spirit Halloween type Megafactory where they go to Australia, plan to only be there 5 years, decommission it at the end of 5 years because you made so much money?
Well, you're talking about just like building a temporary factory to make Megapacks? Is that what you're saying?
I'm talking about building a permanent factory, using it for 5 years, and then saying, okay, we're done, and just packing it in. The equipment's still good. Move it somewhere else. Get rid of it. Who cares? Because it's not that complicated compared to everything else Tesla makes. It's not like the semi or the automotive. The Lathrop facility, I mean, the box is all right angles. It's pretty straightforward compared to everything else they make.
Mm-hmm.
And with the amount of money that they're raking in, it would make sense to me if they had to, if there was some tax or regulatory advantage to producing it domestically, that they could just import the cells, produce it domestically wherever, and have that advantage.
But I guess the thing that I'm missing, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, is why would you do it for just 5 years?
Well, that would be, I mean, maybe you wouldn't, but maybe you could saturate that market in 5 years, and then demand would drop to a point where you wouldn't need a dedicated facility.
I don't think the demand is going to saturate. I guess that would be what I'm thinking, is because what they're going to do is after they start filling up like frequency response and things like frequency regulation, they're going to start moving into, arbitrage. And Tesla's goal is ultimately to move to 8-hour grid storage. So they have a long runway there. Do you know what I mean by that, or should I explain it?
Please explain it.
Okay. So shorter bursts of energy, they're more profitable, like when you're doing frequency regulation on the grid. And so it can support expensive battery cells and expensive megapacks. So what happens as the cost of battery cells comes down, you can start filling in longer durations, which have less profitability. So they're going to keep reducing the cost of the megapack, and that means they're going to be taking over larger and larger chunks of the power delivery market. I don't know what the proper term for it is, but yeah, they're just their market is going to be continually expanding over time. And then what's going to happen is they're going to have to start replacing these battery packs that they originally installed like 5, 6, 7 years ago. The mega packs are designed for like 10, 15, 20 years, but a lot of them are burning up the mega packs more quickly because they're seeing profit opportunities. So they're cycling the packs more, and they're not, some of them aren't lasting as long as, the nameplate capacity might be.
Because it's not years, it's cycles.
Well, it's a bit of both. There's calendar life and cycle life. And I forget exactly how Tesla does the warranties on them. I think it's cycles. But yeah, in short, these mega packs are going to need to be replaced, and some of them are being used up quicker than you might expect.
So I was wondering where you heard about the desire to go to 8 hours. Is this a competitive issue? Will they be making different units like at 8, 4, and 2? I know that EOS is, of course, at 8 hours. So I was just curious, are there applications where the 2 hour would still be a valuable thing to use?
Oh yeah, because it's with the 2 hour, all you're doing is adding more inverters. So sorry, my dryer's just going off. I don't know if that came through the microphone. I thought they mentioned it at the Mega Block event. I thought they mentioned the 8 hour thing. Either way, that's where the industry is headed. So maybe I just assumed that. But yeah, they will be eventually going towards 8 hour storage. Brian, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I had a question for you. On Jordan about the battery. So I think there was a bunch of disruption in this last year where a bunch of battery factories got canceled. I think it was also in 2024. So there's a bunch of abandoned factories, projects that didn't get completed because of the glut of lithium and other things like that. So when Brian White was talking about needing tents or temporary facilities, it seemed like there are available facilities that can be bought really, really cheaply in North America and in Europe for if Tesla did want to expand battery production. Is that what you're seeing as well?
The last I checked is there's just a lot of spare capacity. I don't know about spare capacity specifically in North America, but I'm looking at it more globally.
Yeah, because I think that there's some new battery startups that were buying facilities that got, like, I think Northvolt got shut down and their factory got bought by other people and that kind of thing. So and then we still have the LFP, I think, starting up Q1, the 10 gigawatts in Nevada, and which I think is in the deck. And then so that seems like not enough LFP for Tesla's plant, that they need to go more in North America. If you're assuming that they can't, tariff things go back up again, they may need to have more in the United States, right? Seems like at least 100 gigawatts.
Yeah, well, they need North America or at least outside of China. And
Right.
so my understanding is that I think there's an EV battery factory outside of China. Maybe it was in Vietnam or Cambodia or something like that. But I'd have to look at the specific location. But my understanding is that EVE is ramping a plant in Asia outside of China, which is what Tesla indicated in the past. And EVE has more increasingly been working with Western companies. Like EVE is making a 4695 battery cell for the BMWs. And I'm working with James Wang out of China. He did a teardown of those, so I'll have a video coming out in a few weeks comparing the EVE 4695 battery cell with the CALB 4695 battery cell.
Any update on the 4680s and finally getting that ramped to meaningful level?
I've been waiting for a damned year. Nobody's asking questions about it because everybody's getting excited about the robotaxi. understandably. But to me, I'm when I look at Tesla as an investor, I go, all right, where are the bottlenecks and where are the opportunities? And when I look at the robotaxi, I'm like, well, this is fundamentally they have this solved. It's just a matter of continuing to polish it, throwing more compute and data at it. And so I'm going, all right, so that's lost my interest. But everybody else is going, ooh, profits are coming. So everybody else is focused on the robotaxi, whereas I'm going, oh, yeah, but what about all these other things? What about all the fundamental things that underpin the growth of the robotaxi and the long-term competitiveness of Tesla and Tesla's strategic position? To me, the 4680 is just as important now as ever because of all the geopolitical things that are going on with China. If things got really bad there, it could be extremely disruptive for Tesla. Yeah, I'll get off my soapbox now.
So the LFP factory in Sparks, just down the street from Giga Nevada, last I heard had a nameplate capacity of 10 gigawatt hours. That's enough to supply 1/4 of one mega factory. That is inadequate. We do know that there's an LFP factory in Michigan that was commissioned in July, I think, from LG. That's and there is a $4.3 billion understanding or contract between Tesla and LG. We don't know if that's for that facility, those cells could very well be. And as we're seeing a lot of manufacturers pulling back from their EV ambitions, that does free up some supply, though it may not be for the right thing. I don't think Tesla will go back to using NMC or NCA cells for megapacks. I don't think that would be the right tool for the job. So a domestic LFP production exists. It's increasing. I don't think it's increasing quickly enough.
Jordan, how difficult is it? Like Panasonic just opened that facility in Kansas, and I as far as I know, it's nickel. How difficult would it be for them if as they're ramping, and they've pushed back their ramp to I think they're going to be fully ramped in 2027. How difficult would it be for them to switch over to LFP, or some of the new lines to LFP?
Well, I guess the first thing I would be wondering is I don't know if Panasonic already produces LFP cells
Anywhere, huh?
Yeah. So for these lines, getting them to the state where they're ramped is the most difficult part, and understanding all the settings that you need to put all the machines at and all the little quirks that you have with each chemistry that you run through. But once you get it down, you can swap between chemistries pretty quick. For instance, Amprius, they're talking about because of this excess supply in China in terms of production capacity. What Amprius does is they've contracted out their battery cell manufacturing to companies in China. And what they've said is the factory can produce cells for one company in the morning and cut over and start producing their cells in the afternoon. Totally different product.
That's the most valuable thing I've heard today.
Glad to hear it. And I'm not too terribly concerned about the LFP battery supply as long as it's still flowing. Because as I said, these mega packs are so profitable that even with the increased cost, they're still in demand. Now, it will be better if Tesla can get cell manufacturing brought in-house, because it creates a long-term strategic advantage, stability, and it will, us as customers and the grid, it's beneficial for us if these are cheaper. But if everybody else is having to pay the same price for these cells that Tesla is, it doesn't really change their competitive advantage, because it's a level playing field. Everybody's getting kicked in the nuts. So
I did look it up while we were chatting. Panasonic still does not make LFPs. So just nickel based chemistries for theirs. Unfortunate.
Are we moving on to the texty part rather than the more spreadsheety part of the thingy now?
Whatever you like. Whatever you like.
I love using the technical words. So when I look through that, that's the first thing that caught my eye is I think it's the lithium production is starting later this year or early next year. And I'm hoping what's going to happen is that the lithium refinery and the cathode production plant and the dry 4680 cells and the cybercab are all going to start ramping at the same time. That's what I'm hoping. Because everything seems to be coming. That seems to be the rhythm that's going here in terms of they all look relatively aligned.
From the conversations I've had with the engineers who designed Cybercab, Wes and the others, I asked them, is it going to be LFP? That's the cheapest. And he said, it is chemistry agnostic. It is form factor agnostic. It can use anything, which means that especially if you're going to be making them in more than one factory around the world, if you're going to be making them everywhere, get what's local and good enough. It doesn't need to have 500 miles of range. That's probably the wrong number for what this is. So that would be helpful.
I do think it's going to be using the nickel because they have my understanding, it looks to me like that cathode factory that they have down in Austin is just one single cathode line. If that's the case, and they're already running the NMC through for the Cybertruck, I think they're just going to use NMC for the Cybercab, and it might have way more range than I anticipated. Not because that's the best option, it's just because that's what's there and available and they're already manufacturing. So that would be my guess.
And the 4680 is NMC and not NCA like Panasonic?
Yes, it's a 95.5 or something like close to 90% nickel, 5% manganese, and 5% cobalt. And but I don't know where they're currently getting that cathode material, whether it's coming from the plant next door, or they're importing it, or they're producing it on a cathode pilot production line someplace else.
And what percent fruit juice? No?
I don't know. I don't have that insight. I don't have the juice on that. So
I'm telling you, you got to get better sources.
Jordan, if they were able to get the three items running at the same time, what kind of competitive advantage does that give Tesla if the three do come online?
Nobody else has it. It's like it's 0 to 1. Basically, the only competitor they would have at that point is China as a country rather than any individual corporation. Because I don't know anybody else that would be that vertically integrated from the lithium all the way up to the battery cell. I think all the companies in China, China has the end-to-end. They have a monopoly on the battery supply chain. And nobody else really has that full stack. So China has the full stack as a country, and Tesla will have the full stack as an individual business. Even the lithium mining, China doesn't really have much lithium mining in the country. They do have some, but they import most of their lithium. And what they do is they process that lithium into end products. And that's where Tesla's supply chain would start as well.
And I'm seeing a lot of people asking why isn't Tesla making their own solar panels? And I went ahead and looked it up and found that something like 98% of finished solar panels around the world contain at least some, if not entirely, Chinese manufactured or refined or produced elements. China owns solar. And when I was looking at, Mark and I covered a story yesterday about cancellation of some grants to some battery factories and how that may be putting them out of business. People said, yeah, but I mean, we still need the batteries, so just make them. So, well, if they're not cost competitive, it's done. It's over. So it's sometimes a penny is all it takes. Sometimes a fraction of a penny is enough to shoot yourself in the foot.
And I think it's worth noting with solar, we are starting to build a pretty strong supply chain here. It's not like batteries where, yeah, China has most of it for the battery supply chain. But we pretty much have everything we need to produce solar panels in the US, and the production is increasing. And on top of that, with solar panels, the margins are only like 2 or 3%. So there's reasons why you'd want to get into batteries over solar panels. Pretty much anybody can make solar panels. It's a relatively easy thing to do.
And it's a commodity. It's low margin. And batteries, we've got some money to make. James, you've got some more magic to share here.
Sure. Yeah, I got charts. Let me drag something over and we can look at charts. So this was the one that we looked at earlier that I tweeted out. This is the ever popular revenue chart, updated with Q3 revenue here. That makes over $69 billion worth of revenue for Tesla so far this year. Still not quite caught up year to date with the prior 2 years for this point in the year, but the gap is closing versus where it was last quarter or the quarter before that, maybe. Certainly on a percentage basis, we're closer now year-to-date Q3 than we were year-to-date Q1. So hope for getting close to these numbers by the end of the year. Probably not going to beat them this year.
And that's in part because of the retooling in Q1 for the refreshed Model Y, don't you think?
Yeah, around the globe, Tesla shut down production at 4 factories. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, Brian, but for those in your audience, it's rare to have 4 factories around the world all producing the same model. Brad Munkin listed that as his reason Tesla would go bankrupt in 2023 and 2024 and 2025. Famous Tesla Q Generalissimo, longtime short seller and hater behind the fake name Brad Munkin, said Tesla would go bankrupt because no company in the history of automaking has ever built 2 new factories to make the same model. So he said bankruptcy imminent as a result of that. But what does happen that's real is you take a hit in the quarter when you shut down all of those at the same time for factory retooling. So you've got the right equipment in there to put the right headlights on or tail lights or whatever changes in your auto assembly. Everyone on this call, I think, is better equipped to have that discussion than I am. But after you've flipped the switch to on, you're not at full production capacity yet. It takes a while to ramp up, even after you've done your retooling. And so that'll put you behind some.
For the record, I trust Brad Munkin less than I trust Loki. And Loki is a dog.
Yeah, you've got that right. That is the right ranking of those financial experts. People who've been following Brad Munkin's advice for 6 years no longer have money for internet. And the other chart that I posted is 12 trailing month free cash flow. It doesn't look like it's the best since 2022, but I checked and it is. It's slightly better now than it was 2 quarters ago. So for the first time since this quarter, which includes 3 quarters from 2022, right? Tesla's, well, this number is actually higher than that number anyway. So free cash flow doing great at Tesla. This is the chart showing what happens when you take your operating cash flow, which is the total combined height of both bars, and then you subtract the capital spending from it. So the dark gray bars here are telling you how much money Tesla spent on capital over the trailing 12 months out of their operating cash flow. So you make all this money running your business. That's your operating cash flow. And then you have to spend some of it on investing in capital assets, things that have a long, useful life that you would depreciate over a number of years. And then hopefully there is still some money left over after you do that. And that's what these white bars are. They're the money left over. That's free cash flow. You've got that money available to do other stuff with, or as Tesla has done, you just let your cash pile, keep piling it ever higher.
So for those who don't know, real quick, I was going to mention we are 30 minutes and 36 seconds to the financial webcast. It is listed as it is visible to me, so you can stay tuned for that. We'll have some additional discussion after that conversation. James, how much cash is on hand? It must be zero by now. It must be zero because no one's buying them anymore. I've heard it from some of the loudest people on X and certainly Facebook and Reddit. But also they're spending money like crazy. They're adding compute. They're adding more facilities. They're adding more showrooms, more chargers. But you're saying it's not zero yet.
There would be the balance sheet. So in terms of just cash equivalents and investments, that number isn't at a record high, but that's deceptive because if you look at the total current assets line, this number is at an all-time high. So what has Tesla been doing with this cash? How has it been shifting? Well, some is in the inventory line. I told you earlier that you would have inventory on hand that counts as a current asset if you intend to sell it within the next 12 months. And you sure do. If you're a manufacturer, you want to sell your inventory in the next 12 months. So that number is higher. And that's just an asset for asset swap, right? You're taking your cash asset and you're paying for raw materials that you use to make car bodies and batteries and glass and tires and computers and all the stuff that goes into your cars. So you give up your cash to get the raw materials, which get counted as part of this inventory, and then the finished goods inventory is in there as well. Cars available for sale, etc., or energy products available for sale. And then you've got accounts receivable net. So people owe you money that they're going to pay you quickly. So that's almost as good as cash because it's going to be cash quickly. Then you got prepaid expenses and other current assets. So all of those are trending up. That's what is the situation with Tesla's liquid current assets on hand.
I had an opportunity to talk with a supplier when I was selling broadcast electronics fresh out of college who explained, we asked, how is it that this other company is able to sell an item at retail below our cost? And we're a high volume person. We're a high volume company. And one of the answers is, while we were paying net 30, they were paying net negative 30. They were prepaying before they would place orders because it would give them even lower costs. And if you have the cash to do that, it can give you tremendous room to make more money. So they would have the best terms by far. That when Tesla is prepaying for something, it is my assumption that they are doing so because it gives them a tremendous financial advantage over paying 30 days after they get it. Anybody want to disagree with that?
No, they might give you a 2% break for early payment, something like that. So yeah, why not take the free money? And if you got all this cash on hand anyway, it's just going to sit there staring back at you. Why would you pay more 90 days from now? Just pay it now and pay less, right?
For sure. For sure.
So I think something to point out on, so in slide 10 of the deck, there is a general statement about the product, saying that, so yeah, that part in the last two paragraphs. So basically, it's more general statements, but just saying that they continue to evolve the product line, will focus on cost and scale. So basically, it sounds like, again, restating that they're not done launching lower cost products, cars, and other products that would let them sell more. And also they talk about changing the factory and then scaling up Cybercab, Tesla Semi, and Megapack 3, all for volume production. So they're reinforcing, they're not tying it to dates, but they are saying that they're continuing to do it, which presumably some of that's coming in 2026. And maybe they'll discuss in more color on the call itself.
Well, now that I'm on the right document, that's better. I was showing the Q2 letter, which I also had up earlier in the day, and I thought I was in the right quarter. But this is the most recent one that was released this afternoon.
Right.
It's so small I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
All right. Any other chart wizardry we need to see, James?
Well, the only other one that I was going to show you was to scroll up and show you this one from last week, where I said, few know Elon Musk had a custom keyboard built just to reply on X. That's how Elon makes all of his replies.
Cool.
Not everybody knows that. You got a retweet from Elon Musk on that.
Yes.
Which of course means it's true. We know that.
Well, yeah, and he replied to it here. Let's see if we can find Elon's reply someplace. Where is Elon Musk? Here he is. True, yes, wow, exactly, absolutely, spot on, 100 bullseye, laughing emoji. So he used his keyboard to make the reply. That's how you know that's his keyboard.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I think that my daughters have a complete separate keyboard just with emojis. So I'm glad to finally figure this out. This is good.
Yeah.
If Elon's going to have the keyboard, he needs to use it. You got to get your money's worth. I mean, otherwise it's a stranded asset. Okay. Did you have more to share on that?
No, I will have an animated chart later. I may put myself on mute so I can put a kick-ass score under it, so that when people play the animated chart, it'll pump them up.
And we have 23 minutes and 50 seconds to go, only just. Do you think we're going to get answers on questions like what is demand backlog for Megapack, Powerwall, solar, etc. with the current AI boom? Is Tesla planning to supply more power to other hyperscalers? Is this something they'll address? And if so, how? Wow.
I think they've said in the past that it's like, so for some of these things, it's pretty much infinite. So it wasn't a persuasive question for me.
Yeah, and as far as supplying to other hyperscalers, I think everybody's money spends the same.
Exactly. They're not going to be picky. Oh no, we're not going to let you buy our Megapacks.
And also, that could be viewed as anti-competitive.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing, right below the part that Brian pointed out on page 10, first generation production lines for Optimus are being installed in anticipation of volume production. So it doesn't sound like they're going to be building thousands of units by the end of the year.
No. However, the hires that they just did look pretty good. 100 additional people. Well, they haven't hired them yet, but the list they put up with 100 additional people for Optimus, that would make me think we're getting pretty darn close.
Oh yeah, the production lines are going into place, so it's positive. Things are moving along, but as usual, they make the impossible merely light.
Right.
Well, yes, there's a lot of things that Elon's companies have done that are impossible, and when people say something is impossible, I give them my pitch. I've got this great business idea for you. I only need billions. And then I explain how impossible Starlink was. That we need to launch a number of satellites that has never existed in combined human history at a price that's never been seen, using rockets reused dozens of times, which is not a thing. And you would tell me, I'm out. I'm not interested. This is crazy. If any part of this fails, I lose what? Billions? Yeah. You lose all the billions. So and then of course it is, and we're going to just provide the fastest satellite internet service at a price that's competitive with terrestrial coverage in most places. And it's going to be, what could go wrong? I mean, the satellites are going to fall out of the sky once a day, but other than that, it's flawless.
You would be thrown out on your ear in any boardroom trying to pitch that.
Yeah. The Shark Tank would throw me into the actual Shark Tank, which is, fair, I suppose. I had it coming. Let's see, on the say questions, the next one was, let's share this, get it up here. What are the plans for new car models? Will Tesla build the compact, leveraging unboxed? And are we getting an SUV and a pickup truck? I think this will get an answer, and I think we know what the answer is. It's a no.
It's
Anybody
we
wish to-
don't do these things at earnings calls. Yeah.
That's also true. That is very forward-looking. But I'm reasonably confident the answer is no. No. Someone pointed out the piece that I was missing on the cybercab when they said, no, this would be a huge demand item if it was human-driven. Someone said, what are two-seater? How many two-seaters are actually sold? What's the most popular one? So, well, Miata sold over 1 million. Yeah, back in the 90s. Now they sell like 8,000 a year. I don't see Tesla wanting to get into the 8,000 a year for anything, including Megapacks. And those have a somewhat higher price tag than a Miata. Let's see.
I wish Tesla would pre-vet these questions a little bit and just have somebody look over them. And so during the earnings call, they could just go, okay, this is the type of question we don't answer in the earnings call, or we can't make a comment on that. What they always do is they bounce it directly to Elon and the team, and they go, oh, we've already answered this before. But if they could just get ahead of that, we could, just punch through that question quick and maybe get, even if there's 15 questions of various quality, we only usually get the top 5 or 10. But if they did it that way, then we might be able to get through about 15 questions and get like 5 good answers.
I think next time we need to suggest, or maybe do it on X, that they use the X system to process the questions, because they have the XAI that could filter out and have some kind of like dynamic ongoing list of questions instead of using Say Technologies, because that's the problem, is that we have to use that system, that platform, instead of having an AI-based thing to screen the questions like you're talking about, Jordan.
And then I think Elon would like that, because it would be another chance to use Grok.
Right. Grok and X.
I don't know how well it would work on account of the inability to determine if they're actually shareholders. On that part, I don't know. I've never voted on Say or submitted to Say because I don't trust them with my information. I'm not giving them access to my account to see how many shares I have. And I know that Rob Maurer was asked not to submit questions and put his thumb on the scale after the one quarter where all the questions were his. and even though Tesla has never asked me to do that, I will honor that request by proxy, even though I'm not convinced I would get to the top the same way he did. He was a very big fish in this space, and I imagine, even though he's only doing a couple videos a quarter, he's still a big fish. He's still a lot of people's favorite, beating out every last one of us.
So there's only a 2.5% total downshift between the day and the after hours, or pre-market, or whatever you want to call it. That's not bad considering the miss. Would anybody have expected more of a down, for it to be more down when it missed the street?
I thought it was. I thought it was going to be more down if they had a miss.
Yeah. So
it seems like it's been a little bit frothy. It's way above the trend line. So.
Yeah. So this could suggest that the folks that are saying that cars are no longer that important could claim a little bit of reality. I think everybody's really, really intent on what's going to happen with robotaxi.
As a reminder, the street was at 53 cents earnings per share. We came in at 50 cents. 3 cents off is absolutely a miss. You can't deny that. But the street doesn't seem to be panicking. Maybe they're waiting to play the Nostradamus game and see what kind of mood Elon is in.
Right.
Let's count superlatives and weigh them. I don't know how they do it, and I don't think they do either, because it feels like a great big guessing game. On the plus side, Ross Gerber was asked today about how his fund is performing, and he said, great. So I don't think words mean anything anymore, but that might just be my assessment. Let's see on the Say questions. What are the present challenges in bringing Optimus to market? App control software, engineering hardware, training mobility? Do you think we'll get an answer on that, or is that too forward looking?
I don't think you're going to get an answer to that. That's going to be a dodge if it even is touched. It's just like you said. It's too forward thinking. They're not at that stage yet, and they're not willing to point out inadequacies with what they have. They're just not going to do it.
I think also for Optimus, like November 6th, the annual meeting, Optimus is there. That the expectation is that we'll get a lot more Optimus at that meeting versus this call. So I think we could get something, maybe not control, but whatever they want to show about Optimus would be, I think, at the annual meeting.
If they're setting up the line and making these hires and saying things like version 3 is almost ready to go, it would tell me that they don't have anything that's still a major roadblock. If you had a major roadblock, you might not be setting those lines up yet, placing the orders for the actuators, hiring another 100 people. I would think that at this point, they think they've got the science.
If it was me, I would be frustrated with the question if I'm out there building these things, because anytime you bring a new product onto the market, you're going to run into all sorts of different issues. So it's going to be like playing whack-a-mole. So it's like people are trying to pinpoint a certain thing, and it's like, well, you don't understand that this is an evolutionary process where it's always going to be changing from week to week. There's going to be a different limiting factor. So
A limiting factor. Oh, yeah, I had a plastic tire, bicycle tire years ago that I was repping, and we thought we were all going to get rich off of it until we made the first shipments to Phoenix during the summer, and they melted, and that can ruin your whole day. You know, these are supposed to never get flat, and all of a sudden it was flat.
Let's see. We've got. I'm going to do one more from Say, because this one. What is the possibility of an extended wheelbase 3-row SUV version of the Cybertruck complete to compete with the likes of Expedition or Escalade? They're not going to answer that. And it's a no.
Yeah, several. I've roasted the questions enough, but several of them were basically all asking the same thing. So several different versions of the same question. It was really repetitive. I did put one of my questions in there, and it made the top 20, but that's the best I've ever done. I haven't had anyone punch through yet.
What was your question?
Do you care to share that?
I just wanted an update on the fully dry 4680, because
of course that was your question.
Yeah. And it's not, for a while there, I was saying we don't need to keep asking this every quarter because they're giving us updates. Well, as soon as they stopped giving us updates, people also stopped asking about the 4680. So it's like we've gone from, like with this earnings call, there's 5 questions about the same thing. It was like that before with the 4680. You only need to ask one question about it, one good question. And we haven't had an update on the 4680 for a year now.
It does seem that Say is a bit broken when it comes to questions at this point. It seems that quarter after quarter, we're getting this repetitive popularity contest that's really not insightful for the questions. It's not helping anybody.
Yeah, as I said, I think they need to vet these questions and kind of bundle them and go, all right, we have 3 questions that are basically the same. Can we just pick one of those so we can get through 15 questions rather than 5 poor ones?
Well, I don't think they're obligated to answer the Say questions. So they could do that. There's a lot of insanity in there. I don't know, man. I would say that at least we're not seeing as many, can I get dividends, please? No, you can't. We're not in that phase. And I'll tell you, I know a lot of investors who have said, dividends, that's when I'll sell the stock. Because if you're no longer a growth company, I'm going to go find a growth company.
Well, you do have to say about the Say questions that commonly they're better than the professional journalists. So there is that.
Too often. Again, these Wall Street analysts are trusted to cover an entire sector. And sometimes that's the entire automotive sector. And sometimes it's the entire tech sector, which is, that's like, so you're an athlete. What do you play? Outside sports. I do all outside sports. Not well, I'm going to tell you. You got to focus. So we are coming up in just 10 minutes and 20 seconds on the music that lets us know the live stream will begin at some point. So that is always great for copyright reasons, because for some reason they haven't figured out not to get us all copyright strikes. That's something they could work on. That's something I try and share with all the events that I help coordinate around the country and world. Is if you want people to share on social media, you're gonna have to stop using so much copyright music. So
that should be a say question, Brian.
Well, I would post saying, can we get a PR department already? But I think people would look at that and go, Brian W. asked this question. And I would just say, it was Wang. It was Wang that did it. So hopefully they believe me. And for those of you on the panel who don't know, we did establish that I am the evil twin Brian W. with future in the name because of the facial hair. So if you can't tell us apart, that's why. Yeah. And apologies, my batteries died on the tree. So
the tree is out. This is not good. This is not good.
It is out. Yeah. And I was considering changing the lighting color to match whichever direction the stock went. But fortunately, I can't find the remote. It's here somewhere, but I'm doing a little bit of reorganizing.
I have a reliable source that if you plug them into the wall, that won't happen.
Yeah, I didn't understand that these were battery operated until I got them.
You should have had Jordan. You should have had Jordan take a look.
Yeah, it was a mistake on my part.
Since we have a moment, should I correct the record on what Tesla's cash balance actually is? They've broken through $40 billion for the first time ever to nearly $42.0 billion. Yeah, you've got
cash on hand. Cash on hand. $42 billion.
Yeah, and disregard all that nonsense I said earlier about inventory. The inventory is down as one would expect since last quarter because Tesla sold more cars than they produced. So
I was going to say something, but I was trying to be kind.
I probably would have fought you on it at the moment because I didn't know I was showing Q2. But if you look at the Q3 report that just came out, you'll see the right answer.
Oh yeah, it is 42 is kind of like 420 billion. It's like 42.0 billion. Nice.
42.0 billion is how I characterized it in my tweet.
Oh,
Tesla's cash balance is also an all-time record, nearly $42.0 billion. You gotta pay respect to the meme numbers.
Sure, you have to.
And I do have the other chart that I said I would have, which is Tesla's cumulative net income, aka retained earnings, containing its
going negative.
Its upward trajectory. Negative. So yeah, it did hit $6.336 billion negative back in 2018, I believe, early 2019, before making the turn and heading north.
It's looking almost as bad as Rivian before that.
No, Rivian's at negative 22 or 3, I think. No company that I'm aware of has ever gone as far into the red as Rivian without ever turning a profit.
I believe you're correct. Uber tried hard, but they didn't quite do it.
It's an amazing feat. Maybe Lucid will top them if the Saudis keep throwing cash into that furnace.
Wouldn't it be more cost effective to just power the cars with burnt cash? I mean, you could burn enough linen that way.
They wouldn't. You wouldn't notice the change in their P&L if they did.
I am desperately concerned for Lucid and for Rivian, not in terms of their tech. Both of them have surprisingly good tech for as not mature companies as they are, for as new as they are in terms of volume production, but their financials are gravely concerning.
We can also quickly review that the other legacy companies that are in substantial trouble will be Stellantis, Renault, Mazda. They have substantial losses and shrinking. I think there's also Nissan and Mitsubishi are in trouble. And then Ford, even though they're earnings are pretty good. They have a massive recall problem where they have like 9 million cars recalled. So it's like almost like 20-30% of the total cars out there have major recalls. These are not like minor recalls, and they have like a massive almost like year-long wait or more to get some of these cars fixed, and they're not like safe to drive on the road. So, yeah.
What I haven't
So
been able to figure out is why Rivian and Lucid haven't been able to sell more cars. If I believe, as a guy who's founded a bunch of companies, that if I had sold that few cars, I would actually personally be out as the CEO, as the president, whatever. I would be personally in the showrooms or personally going door to door. I think you could sell more cars if you did that than what they've been selling so far. It is unbelievable to me that they can't find a way to sell more cars.
So I have a friend who worked at Ford his entire career. He created the warranty system for tracking warranty repairs. I don't remember if it's called BSOC or BSAC, but it was a system that ran as he designed it for 20 years before the amount of data outgrew the maximum size of the database. They migrated it to SQL after that. And they, anyway, he is retired now, and he had a chance to look at the warranty problems they have from the outside. And he was beside himself. He was frustrated. He was enraged. He didn't know how the heck this happened. I think he was just glad he wasn't there when it fell apart. Because
wasn't there some guy named Jordan that kind of, made this whole thing, brought it to all of our attention? Jordan, that was a great video. No, it wasn't you. It was correct. It was Connect the Dots, or was it you? I can't remember now.
Connect the Dots did a video.
Yeah, Connect the Dots. That was one. Yeah. Sorry.
Was that on Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah, on Ford. Yeah.
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 He did a great job, as he always does. He may not be right, but it really looks lovely.
Well, this case is right because the amount of recalls is, out
Crazy.
there, and they have more recalls than the next 5 companies combined, and it's just a doom spiral for them. And even Farley on a call was saying that they're trying to avoid a doom spiral on the quality problems. So the root causes are related to them getting rid of a lot of senior engineers, and then also outsourcing repairs and stuff, and other issues too, like Brazil and other places trying to save money. But it's and now they create these long-term problems around parts and part quality and other things.
Yes, but they saved 3 pennies. Because that's how business works. That's how you get it done. We do have the live page showing. I'll periodically double check that it's still just music that will get us a copyright strike. Yes. Guys, if you're watching this, you can subscribe to this channel. Oh, this is where the most fun is had in Teslaverse. We've got Jordan Giesecke, The Limiting Factor, does fantastic work. And if you're watching this on YouTube, all of their X handles are in the description. Mark from the Tesla Life. We've all got channels. We've all got X accounts. Brian Wang from Next Big Future. We've got an empty library, which normally houses Randy Kirk, but he has escaped. We are out looking for him as we speak. And of course, James Stevenson, he cannot underscore enough, as his handle suggests. When is Digital Blades got it? When is Tesla going to get some decent mics for the call? We don't know. They're a tech company. These calls don't feel like it. Nobody's going to touch that one? That's wise.
It sounds like they're just using the basic corporate conference call speakerphone phone. Guys, come on.
But if I was going to comment on that, I would have to comment on the microphones of all of my co-hosts.
I mean,
maybe not you, Brian. Well, maybe you.
Definitely not me. I'm all mic'd up. James sounds great. Yeah, even
I got the Shure. mic here, so I'm in business. This is the official podcaster starter kit microphone.
Okay,
Mhm.
there you go.
Jordan, which mic are you using?
I'm just checking real quick to make sure that I'm using my my line Rode. I'm sorry, my Rode A1. Yeah, I'm using my
Yeah, you sound good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Randy started something now.
Yeah.
Even your Randy, even your iPad, iPhone, whatever you're using, sounds so much better than the string and tin cans used by the teleconferencing phones in the break. And I assume the break room.
I'm just using my what do you call it? My Mac Air. I don't have any no separate mic.
What blows my mind is we can get a buoy in the middle of the ocean to get Starship, get a shot of the Starship coming out from orbit, but we can't get good microphones in the call. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm going to zip off when it starts, and if there's something about batteries or something interesting, I'll come back afterwards. I'm going to cook dinner and listen to
Absolutely. And when the show goes, when this begins, I'll make it look like this, so none of us will be on camera. If you need to cut out, guests are welcome to come and go as they please. At the end of this, Randy and Brian Wang will be joining us only for a little bit because they've got to scoot out and do their own thing. So their summaries will come first while the rest of us are still digesting. In our heads, or in Jordan's case, his stomach, I suppose, seems like a pretty unfair that we don't get to share, but it's fine. I'll get over it. Okay, and the magic continues. Of course it does. What are you guys hoping to hear in the call today? Let's start with Randy.
Oh, very clear. Just any and everything that they can tell us about robotaxi rollout. If they have any kind of stats, if they have any kind of update on their predictions, that's top of the list.
Jane?
Me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a super boring accounting answer. They didn't explain what the restructuring charges were. I think Matt Smith guessed them right in his forecast, but I don't know how he did. I had 0 for restructuring because I didn't hear that there were any layoffs this quarter, which is normally what restructuring would mean. But I mean, the auto business is going to become a smaller and smaller part of the Tesla story every year going forward from here. So yeah, like most people, the stuff I care about is going to be, hey, how well are we doing at accelerating that work to start selling robotaxis and Optimus robots?
Brian, what are you thinking you'd like to hear the most?
I would like them to give actual guidance as to what's going to happen in the future. They kind of like took that away, and they've been very general or non-committal about it. I would like things to be good enough where they actually could give some kind of forward guidance on factories, 4680s. Put some lines in the sand that say, hey, we're going to hit some things. So I don't expect that to happen. I just would like it to happen.
And Jordan, apart from 4680 update, is there anything you're itching to hear today?
I always like hearing nuts and bolts stuff. Like 4680 is one, but a lot of people mention they'd like to hear updates on Tesla insurance. I know a lot of people are curious about the hardware 3 thing. That might be too early to ask that question. Maybe they don't know the answer to that yet, but I would be curious because I have a hardware 3, but it's not at the top of my list. It's just a personal curiosity.
Mark?
I'd have to say that, as Randy mentioned, the growth is going to be in the cyber cab, and that's where we're going to want some more details, and hopefully we can get some.
And I should point out, for those who don't know, that 3 of us on the show are co-authors of a book that came out today on Amazon. Me, Randy, and Brian Wang. Brian Wang and Randy Kirk wrote most of the book. But I wrote a chapter, responded to a whole bunch of questions about the future. It's about AI. And
it's called Can you just knock it? Can you just,
I
just
I
come right
honestly
off
don't remember.
AI Rising,
Yes, that's
how
right.
to thrive in the age of abundance.
Yeah, see, I haven't done it yet, so I haven't. I'll thrive later. So anyway, there will be. It's on X. It's on all three of our accounts, and we had contributions from Doctor Know It All, from CERN Basher, from,
Larry
Nick
Gold-
Gibbs, Larry Goldberg,
Two
all
Gibbs.
kinds of
The Gibbs twins.
the Gibbs twins, as I have called them in the past. I can't tell them apart.
No.
Yeah, let's double check the music.
Wow.
Still rocking.
Late again.
If only there was a way to fabricate royalty-free music on the fly, but alas, the technology does not exist.
We're going to need some new nomenclature. You will no longer be driving your car. So what will you be doing?
Whisking. I'll be whisked.
Whisking?
Wherever I go.
Whisking.
No, I don't think that one's going to stick. Riding, isn't it? I ride the bus.
Yeah.
Before Jordan heads off, I had a question for him. So there was some announcement that most people think missed about 100 million 4680 cells. I think you were writing about that. Is that something that happened?
Oh, that was the last time they mentioned that was last year. That was
today.
Last year, so that's like way long ago.
Events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. We urge shareholders to read our definitive proxy statement, which contains important information about the matters to be voted on at the 2025 annual meeting. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please use the raise hand button to join the question queue. Before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Thank you. We're at a critical inflection point for Tesla and our strategy going forward as we bring AI into the real world. I think it's important to emphasize that Tesla really is the leader in real world AI. No one can do what we can do with real world AI. I have pretty good insight into AI in general. I think that Tesla has the highest intelligence density of any AI out there in the car, and that is only going to get better. And we're really just at the beginning of scaling at a quite massively full self-driving and robotaxi, and fundamentally changing the nature of transport. I think people just don't quite appreciate the degree to which this will take off. Where it's honestly, it's going to be like a shockwave. So it's a because the cars are all out there. We have millions of cars out there that, with a software update, become full self-driving cars, and we're making a couple million a year. And in fact, with the advent of with what we see now as a clarity on achieving full self-driving, unsupervised full self-driving, I should say, I feel confident in expanding Tesla's production. So that is our intent, to expand as quickly as we can our future production. So I was reticent to do that until we had clarity on achieving unsupervised full self-driving. But at this point, I feel like we've got clarity, and it makes sense to expand production as fast as we reasonably can. We're also making huge impact on the energy sector with battery storage. So with both the Powerwall and especially with the Megapack, we are dramatically improving the ability to generate more energy from the grid. So let me sort of talk a little bit about that, which is, if you look at total U.S. energy capability, for example, there's roughly a terawatt of continuous power available in the US, but the average usage over a 24-hour cycle is only half a terawatt because of the big difference between day and night usage. If you buffer the energy with batteries, you can effectively double the energy output of the United States just with batteries building no incremental power plants. And it's very difficult to build power plants. So they take a long time. There's a lot of permitting, and it's not an industry that's used to moving fast. So we see the potential there for Tesla battery packs to greatly improve the energy output per year for any given grid, US or otherwise. We're also on the cusp of something really tremendous with Optimus, which I think is likely to be, or has potential to be, the biggest product of all time. And it's a difficult project, and it's worth noting that it's not like it's just automatic. I'm unaware of any robot program by Ford or GM or any of our US sort of car companies. People I think maybe think of Tesla as a car company. We mostly make cars and battery packs, but so it's not like it's not just like an obvious fall off a log thing to make Optimus, but we do have the ingredients of real world AI and exceptional electrical and mechanical engineering capabilities and the ability to scale production, which I don't think anyone else has all of those ingredients. So yeah, with version 14 of the of self-driving, which you can see the reactions of people online. They're quite amazed. Actually, anyone in the US can get version 14 if they just go and select, I want the advanced software in their car. So if you're listening right now and you'd like to try it out, just go in settings and say, I want the advanced software, and you will get version 14. Yeah, so on the Megapack front, we unveiled Megablock, Megapack 3. We also have exciting plans for Megapack 4. Megapack 4 will incorporate a lot of what is normally in a substation and be able to output at probably 35 kilovolts directly. So this greatly improves our ability to deploy Megapack because it's not dependent on building a substation up through 35 kV for Megapack 4. So that'll be that's the engineering priority for Megapack, and we look forward to unveiling Optimus V3. Probably in Q1. I think it'll be ready for to show off, and that I think is going to be quite remarkable. It won't even seem like a robot. It'll seem like a person in a robot suit, which is kind of how we started off with Optimus. But it'll seem so real that you'll need to poke it, I think, to believe that it's actually a robot. And obviously, the real world intelligence we've developed for the car, most of that transfers to Optimus. So it's a very good starting point. In conclusion, we're excited about the updated mission of Tesla, which is sustainable abundance. So going beyond sustainable energy to say sustainable abundance is the mission, where we believe with Optimus and self-driving that you can actually create a world where there is no poverty, where everyone has access to the finest medical care. Optimus will be an incredible surgeon, for example. And imagine if everyone had access to an incredible surgeon. So I think there's, of course, we need to make sure Optimus is safe and everything, but I do think we're headed for a world of sustainable abundance, and that I'm excited to work with the Tesla team to make that happen.
Great. Thank you very much, Elon. Vaibhav also has some opening remarks.
Thanks, Travis. Q3 was a special quarter at multiple levels. We set new records not just for deliveries and deployments, but also around a range of financial metrics from total revenues, energy gross profit, energy margins to free cash flow. This was the result of continued confidence of our customers in our products and the relentless efforts by the Tesla team. The strength in deliveries was attributed to strong performance across all regions. Greater China and APAC were up sequentially 33% and 29% respectively. North America was up 28%, while EMEA was up 25%. The pace in deliveries was the function of continued excitement around the new Model Y. We had previously talked about 2025 being the year of the Y, and have since delivered on that promise with the new Model Y released in Q1, followed by Model Y long wheelbase and performance, and more recently, Standard Y in North America and EMEA. We're now operating a robotaxi in 2 markets, Austin and most Bay Area cities. We've already expanded our coverage area in Austin 3 times since the initial launch and are on pace to continue expanding further. Unlike our competitors, our robotaxi fleet blends in the markets we operate in, since they don't have extra sensor sets or peripherals which make them stick out. This is an underappreciated aspect of our current vehicle offerings, which are all designed for autonomous driving. We feel that as people experience the supervised FSD at scale, the demand for our vehicles, like Elon said, would increase significantly. On the FSD adoption front, we've continued to see decent progress. However, note that total paid FSD customer base is still small, around 12% of our current fleet. We're working with regulators in places like China and EMEA to obtain approvals so that we can get FSD in those regions as well. Now, covering a little bit on the financial side, automotive revenues increased 29% sequentially, in line with the growth in deliveries. While regulatory credits declined sequentially, we entered into new contracts and continued delivery on previously entered contracts. Our automotive margins, excluding credits, increased marginally from 15% to 15.4%, which was attributed to improvements in material cost and better fixed cost absorption due to higher volumes. The energy storage business continued to deliver with record deployments, gross profit, and margins. As discussed before, this business has a bigger impact from tariffs as measured by percentage of COGS, since currently all cells procured are from China, while we're still working on other alternatives. However, as the ramp of Megafactory Shanghai is happening, this is helping us avoid tariffs because we are using this factory to supply the non-US demand. Like Elon said, grid scale storage, the only way we can get to electricity fastest is by using storage. The other thing to keep in mind is we are seeing headwinds in this business given the increase in competition and tariffs. The total tariff impacts for Q3 for both businesses was in excess of $400 million, generally split evenly between them. Services and other demonstrated a marked improvement sequentially. This was a function of improvements primarily in our insurance and service center businesses. Note that while small, our robotaxi costs are included within services and other, along with our other businesses like paid supercharging, used car, parts and merchandise sales, etc. Our operating expenses increased sequentially. The largest increase included in restructuring and other related to certain actions undertaken to reduce cost and improve efficiency through convergence of our AI chip design efforts. Additionally, we incurred legal expenses related to proceedings in certain legal cases, as well as incremental costs incurred in preparation for our shareholder meeting. Such costs are recorded within SG&A. Further, our employee-related spend is increasing, especially in R&D, as we have recently granted various performance-based equity awards to employees working on AI initiatives, and therefore such spend will continue to increase going forward. On other income, our other income decreased sequentially, primarily from mark-to-market adjustments on BTC holdings, which was a much smaller gain of $80 million in Q3 versus $284 million in Q2, with the rest of the movement attributable to FX movements in the quarter. Our free cash flow for the quarter was approximately $4 billion, which was yet another record. Our total cash and investments at the end of the quarter were over $41 billion. On the CapEx front, while we are expecting to be around $9 billion for the current year, we're projecting the numbers to increase substantially in 2026 as we prepare the company for the next phase of growth in terms of not just our existing businesses, but our bets around AI initiatives, including Optimus. In conclusion, note that bringing AI into real world is hard, but we have never shied away from doing what is hard. We are extremely excited about the future and are laying down the foundation, the benefits of which will be realized over years to come. I would like to end by thanking the Tesla team, our customers, our investors, and supporters for the continued belief in us.
Thank you very much, Vaibhav. Now let's go to investor questions. From say.com, the first question is, what are the latest robotaxi metrics, fleet size, cumulative miles, rides completed, intervention rates, and when will safety drivers be removed? What are the obstacles still preventing unsupervised FSD from being deployed to customer vehicles?
I'll start off with that, and then Ashok can elaborate. But we are expecting to have no safety drivers in at least large parts of Austin by the end of this year. So within a few months, we expect to have no safety drivers at all, at least in parts of Austin. We're obviously being very cautious about the deployment. So our goal is to be actually paranoid about deployment, because obviously even one accident will be front page headline news worldwide. So it's better for us to take a cautious approach here. But we do expect to have no safety drivers in the car in Austin within a few months. I think that's perhaps the most important data point. And then we do expect to be operating robotaxi in I think about 8 to 10 metro areas by the end of the year. It depends on various regulatory approvals. But you can actually, I think most of our regulatory applications are online. You can kind of see them because they're public information. But we expect to be operating in Nevada and Florida and Arizona by the end of the year. Ashok?
We continue to operate our fleet in Austin without anyone in the driver's seat. And we have covered more than 250,000 miles with that. And then in the Bay Area, where we still have a person in the driver's seat because of the regulations, we cross more than 1 million miles. And we continue to see that the fleet, robotaxi fleet, works really well. Customers are really happy, and there's no notable issues. On the customer side, customers have used FSD Supervised for a total of 6 billion miles as of yesterday. So that's like a big milestone. And overall, the safety continues to be very good. And as Elon mentioned, we are on track to remove the person from inside the car altogether, starting with Austin.
Great. The next question is, what is the demand and backlog for Megapack, Powerwall, solar, or energy storage systems? With the current AI boom, is Tesla planning to supply power to other hyperscalers?
Thanks. Demand for Megapack and Powerwall continues to be really strong into next year. We received very strong positive customer feedback on our Megablock product, which will begin shipping next year out of Houston. And we're seeing remarkable growth in the demand for AI and data center applications as hyperscalers and utilities have seen the versatility of the Megapack product to increase reliability and relieve grid constraints, as Elon was talking about. We've also seen a surge in residential solar demand in the US due to policy changes, which we expect to continue into the first half of 2026 as we introduce the new solar lease product. And we also began production of our Tesla residential solar panel in our Buffalo factory, and we will be shipping that to customers starting Q1. The panel has industry-leading aesthetics and shade performance and demonstrates our continued commitment to US manufacturing.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Unfortunately, the next question is related to future products. This is not the appropriate venue to cover that, so we're going to have to skip it. The question after that is, what are the present challenges in bringing Optimus to market, considering app control software, engineering hardware, training general mobility models, training task-specific models, training voice models, implementing manufacturing, and establishing supply chains?
Yeah, I mean, bringing Optimus to market is an incredibly difficult task. To be clear, it's not like some walk in the park. At some point, I mean, actually, technically, Optimus can walk in the park right now. We do have Optimus robots that walk around our offices at our engineering headquarters in Palo Alto, California, basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So any visitors that come by, you actually you can stop one of the Optimus robots and ask it to take you somewhere, and it'll literally take you to that meeting room or that location in the building. So I don't want to downplay the difficulty of Optimus. It's an incredibly difficult thing, especially it's difficult to create a hand that is as dexterous and capable as the human hand, which is the human hand is an incredible thing. That the more you study the human hand, the more incredible you realize the human hand is, and why you need 4 fingers and a thumb, why the fingers have certain degrees of freedom, why the various muscles are of different strengths, the fingers are of different lengths, and it turns out actually that those are all there for a reason, and so making the hand and forearm, because most of the actuator, just like the human hand, the muscles that control your hand are actually primarily in your forearm. The Optimus hand and forearm is an incredibly difficult engineering challenge. I'd say it's more difficult than the rest from an electromechanical standpoint. The forearm and hand is more difficult than the entire rest of the robot. But really, in order to have a useful generalized robot, you do need an incredible hand, and then you need the real world AI, and you need to be able to scale up that production to have it be relevant, because it's not relevant if it's just a few hundred robots. But so you need to be able to make Optimus robots at volumes comparable to vehicles, if not significantly higher. So if you're trying to make 1 million or something per year, trying to make 1 million Optimus robots per year, that manufacturing challenge is immense, considering that the supply chain doesn't exist. So with cars, you've got an existing supply chain. With computers, you've got an existing supply chain. With a humanoid robot, there is no supply chain. So in order to manufacture that, Tesla actually has to be very vertically integrated and manufacture very deep into the supply chain, manufacture the parts internally, because there just is no supply chain. So this is the kind of thing where I'm like, if I put myself in the position of a startup trying to make a humanoid robot, I'm like, I don't know how to do it without an immense amount of manufacturing technology. So that's why I think like Tesla's in almost a unique, I think unique position when you consider manufacturing technology scaling, real world AI, and a truly dexterous hand. Those are generally the things that are missing when you read about other robots. that they just don't have those three things. So I think we can achieve all those things, those three things, with an immense amount of work. And that is the game plan. So my fundamental concern with regard to how much voting control I have in Tesla is, if I go ahead and build this enormous robot army, can I just be ousted at some point in the future? That's my biggest concern. That is really the only thing I'm trying to address with this. So it's called compensation, but it's not like I'm going to go spend the money. It's just, if we build this robot army, do I have at least a strong influence over that robot army? Not control, but a strong influence. That's what it comes down to in a nutshell. Like, I don't feel comfortable building that robot army if I don't have at least a strong influence.
Great, thank you. We've already covered robotaxi expansion. Unfortunately, the question after that is another future product question, so we're going to have to skip that. The next one, though, is, can you update us on the $16.5 billion Samsung chip deal in Taylor? Given the importance of semiconductors to autonomy in Tesla's AI-driven future, what gives you confidence Samsung can fulfill AI6 at Tesla's timelines and achieve relatively better yields and cost versus TSMC?
Okay, so I'm gonna give quite a long answer to this question because I have to unpack this question and then answer the unpacked version. So first of all, I have nothing but great things to say about Samsung. They're an amazing company, and Samsung, it is worth noting, does manufacture our AI4 computer and does a great job doing that. Now with the AI5, and here's I need to make a point of clarification relative to some comments I've made publicly before, which is we're actually going to focus both TSMC and Samsung initially on AI5. So the AI5 chip designed by Tesla is, I think it's an amazing design. I've spent almost every weekend for the last few months with the chip design team working on AI5. And I don't hand out praise easily, but I have to say that I think the Tesla chip team is really designing an incredible chip here. This is, by some metrics, the AI5 chip will be 40 times better than the AI4 chip. Not 40%, 40 times. Because we have a detailed understanding of the entire software and hardware stack. So we're designing the hardware to address all of the pain points in software. So I don't think there really isn't anyone that's doing this, the entire stack, all the way through real world, calibrating against the real world where you've got cars and robots in real world. That, like, we know what the chip needs to do, and we know what, just as importantly, we know what the chip doesn't need to do. To sort of give you some examples here, with the AI5, we deleted the legacy GPU or the traditional GPU, which is it's in AI4, but AI5 does not have. We just deleted the legacy GPU because it basically is a GPU. So we also deleted the image signal processor, and there's like a long list of deletions that are very important. As a result of these deletions, we can actually fit AI5 in a half reticle, and with good margin for the traces from the memory to the Tesla trip accelerators, the ARM CPU cores, and the PCI X the PCI blocks. So this is a beautiful chip. I've poured so much life energy into this chip personally, and I'm confident this is going to be a winner next level. So it makes sense to have both Samsung and TSMC focus on AI5. And so even like technically the Samsung fab has slightly more advanced equipment than the TSMC fab. These will both be made in the U.S. In one TSMC in Arizona, Samsung in Texas, but it's we're going to make, starting off, just to be confident of having our goal, explicit goal, is to have an oversupply of AI5 chips. Because if we have too many AI5 chips for the cars and robots, we can always put them in the data center. So we already use AI4 for training in our data center. So we use a combination of AI4 and NVIDIA hardware. We're not about to replace NVIDIA, to be clear, but we do use both in combination, AI4 and NVIDIA hardware. And the AI5 excess production we can always put in our data centers. NVIDIA keeps improving. The challenge that they have is that they've got to satisfy a large range, a lot of requirements from a lot of customers. But Tesla only has to satisfy requirements from one customer. That's Tesla. That makes the design job radically easier, and means we can delete a lot of complexity from the chip. I can't emphasize how important this is. So like when you look at the various logic blocks in the chip, as you increase the number of logic blocks, you also increase the interconnections between the logic blocks. So you can think of it like just highways. Like, how many highways do you need to connect the various parts of the chip? And especially if you're not sure how much data is going to go between each logic block on the chip, then you kind of end up having giant highways going all over the place. It becomes an almost impossibly difficult design problem, and NVIDIA's done an amazing job of dealing with almost an impossibly difficult set of requirements. But in our case, we're going for radical simplicity, and the net effect is that I think AI5 will be the best performance per watt, maybe by a factor of 2 or 3, and the best performance per dollar for AI, maybe by a factor of 10. So, that's, we'll have to, the proof's in the pudding. So obviously we need to actually get this chip made and made at scale. But that's what it looks like.
Great. Thank you, Elon. We've already covered unsupervised FSD. So the next question is, instead of trying to replace hardware 3 with hardware 4, why not give an equal incentive to trade in for a new vehicle?
Yeah, we've not completely given up on hardware 3. However, over the last year, we've offered the customers the option to transfer FSD to their new vehicle, which at times we've been running some promotions. If they got FSD, they can get better preferential rates. So we've been definitely taking care of this, but we do want to solve autonomy first, and then we'll come back with a way to take care of these customers. These customers are very important. They were the early adapters. For what it's worth, my daily commuter is a hardware 3 car, which I use FSD on a daily basis. So we will definitely take care of you guys.
Great. Thank you.
In addition, once the V14 release series is fully done, we are planning on working on a V14 Lite version for hardware 3, probably expected in Q2 next year.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashok. Alrighty. Our final question from Say is, how long until we see self-driving Tesla semi-trucks? And could you see this technology replacing trains?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with that in terms of the semi production plan and schedule. So the factory is going on schedule. We've completed the building and are installing the equipment now. we've got our fleet of validation trucks driving on the road. We'll have larger builds towards the end of this year, and then our first online builds in the first part of next year, ramping into the Q2 timing with real volume coming in the back half of the year. So that's going quite well, and that's the first step to obviously getting autonomous trucks on the road. In terms of trains, they're really great for long point-to-point deliveries. They're super efficient, but that last mile, the load unload, can be better served for shorter distances with autonomous semis, and that would be great. And so we do expect that to probably shift as we, really, as Elon said, change the way transportation is considered. And so we're looking forward to that timeline. And Ashok, I know you can take the full self-driving part.
Currently, the team is super focused on solving for passenger vehicle autonomy. That said, the same technology will extend quite easily to the semi-truck once we have a little bit of data from the semi-trucks.
Great. And now we will move over to analyst questions. The first question comes from Emmanuel at Wolf. Emmanuel, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Great. Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. So, Elon, you talked about expanding production of vehicles as fast as possible now that you have confidence in the unsupervised autonomy. How should we think about that in the context of your existing capacity of 3 million units? Is that where you're hoping to get volume to? What sort of timeline are we talking about? And would this require some level of boosting or incentivizing demand? Like, would this basically be prioritizing volume over near-term profitability given the longer-term opportunity?
Well, our capacity isn't quite 3 million, but it will be 3 million at some point. Aspirationally, it could be 3 million within. We could probably hit an annualized rate of 3 million within 24 months, I think, maybe less than 24 months. Bearing in mind, there's an entire supply chain, like a vast supply chain that's got to also move in tandem with that. But we're gonna expand production as fast as we can, and as fast as our suppliers can sort of keep up with it. And then we're going to think about where do we build incremental factories beyond that. Like the single biggest expansion in production will be the Cybercab, which starts production in Q2 next year. That's really a vehicle that's optimized for full autonomy. It, in fact, does not have a steering wheel or pedals, and is really an engineering optimization on minimizing cost per mile, for fully considered cost per mile of operation. So that's for our other vehicles, they still have a little bit of the horseless carriage thing going on, where obviously if you've got steering wheels and pedals and you're designing a car that people might want to go do fast acceleration and tight cornering, like high performance cars, then you're going to design a different car than one that is optimized for a comfortable ride, but doesn't expect to go past sort of 85 or 90 miles an hour, and it's just aiming for a gentle ride the whole time. That's what Cybercab is. Yeah, so it's. Do I think we'll sacrifice margins? I don't think so. I think the demand will be pretty nutty. Here's the killer app. Really, what it comes down to is, can you text it? Can you text while you're in the car? And if you tell someone, yes, the car is now so good, you can be on your phone and text the entire time while you're in the car. It's anyone who can buy the car will buy the car. And a story. That's what everybody wants to do. In fact, not everyone wants to do it. They do that, and that's why, in fact, the reason you've seen there's been an uptick in accidents, pretty much worldwide, is because people are texting and driving. Autopilot actually dramatically improves the safety here, because if somebody's looking down at their phone, they're not driving very well. So that's really the the game changer. And we do see, like, at this point, I feel, essentially 100% confident. I say not essentially, 100% confident that we can that we can solve unsupervised full self-driving at a safety level much greater than human. So we've released 14.1. We've got a technology roadmap that's, I think, pretty amazing. We'll be adding reasoning to the car. Our world simulator for reinforcement learning is pretty incredible. Like our when you see it, the Tesla reality simulator, you can't tell the difference between the video that's generated by the Tesla reality simulator and the actual video. It looks exactly the same. So that allows us to have a very powerful reinforcement learning loop to further improve the Tesla AI. We're going to be increasing the parameter count by an order of magnitude. That's not in 14.1. There are also a number of other improvements to the AI, just that are quite radical. So it's this car will feel like it is a living creature. That's how good the AI will get with the AI4 computer. This is before AI5, and then AI5, like I said, is by some metrics 40 times better. Let's just say safely, it's a 10x improvement. So it might almost be too much intelligence for a car. I do wonder, like, how much intelligence should you have in a car? It might get bored. Actually. And then one of the things I thought, like, well, if we've got all these cars that maybe are bored, well, while they're sort of, if they are bored, we could actually have a giant distributed inference fleet and say, like, well, if they're not actively driving, let's just have a giant distributed inference fleet. At some point, if you've got like tens of millions of cars in the fleet, or maybe at some point 100 million cars in the fleet, and let's say they had at that point, I don't know, a kilowatt of inference capability of, high performance inference capability. That's 100 gigawatts of inference distributed with power and cooling with cooling and power conversion taken care of. So that seems like a pretty significant asset.
Great. Thanks, Elon. The next question comes from Adam from Morgan Stanley. Adam, please feel free to unmute yourself. Adam, go ahead and ask your question. Seems like we might be having some audio issues with Adam, so we'll come back to you. The next question will then come from Dan from Barclays.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for taking the question. Elon, I know that Tesla is really focused on, with Master Plan 4, bringing AI into the physical world. And I think we've seen over the past, this willingness for Tesla to engage and go into new markets, new TAMs. So when you think about the growth prospects, how do we define the areas that are really within Tesla's core competency versus where do you draw the line for markets or AI applications that are outside of Tesla's core competency?
Actually, I'm not sure what you mean by AI applications outside of Tesla's core competency. But I mean, we didn't have any of these core competencies when we started, So it's like we had zero core competencies, total competency of zero, actually. So I mean, you can think of Tesla as, like, I don't know, a dozen startups in one company. And I've initiated every one of those startups. So it's we didn't used to make battery packs, so stationary battery packs, but now we do. We make them for the home, make them for utility scale with Powerwall Megapack. We created the supercharger network globally, No one else has created a global supercharger network. In fact, that North American supercharger network is so good at that basically every other manufacturer in North America has converted to our standard, and uses the Tesla supercharger network. But if it was so easy, why don't they just do it? And the chip design team started that from scratch. The Tesla AI software team was started from scratch. I literally just say, hey, we're going to start this thing. I post it on Twitter, now X, and then join us if you'd like to build it. In fact, Ashok was, I believe, the first person I interviewed for the Tesla Autopilot team, which we now call the Tesla AI software team, because it is the AI software team. So it's core competencies created while you wait. Optimus at scale is the infinite money glitch. It's like it's difficult to express the magnitude of, like, if you've got something if Optimus, I think, could probably achieve 5x the productivity of a person per year because it can operate 24/7. It doesn't even need to charge; it can operate it tethered, so it's plugged in the whole time. That's why I call it, like, a future of sustainable abundance, where working will be optional. There's a limit to how much AI can do in terms of enhancing the productivity of humans, but there is not really a limit to AI that is embodied. That's why I call it the infinite money glitch.
I mean, one thing which I'll further add is, I mean, people forget, like, our first iteration of Autopilot was 10 years back. So, Elon had started this way back in the day.
We've got the tweets to prove it.
Exactly. And then even on the Optimus side, right, as much as people think, okay, this is a new thing, I still remember, was it 4+ years back, we were in a finance meeting with Elon, and Elon said, hey, our car is a robot on wheels. And that's where we started developing. In fact, most of the engineering team, which is working on Optimus, has come from the vehicle side. And that's why, when we talk about manufacturing prowess, we have the wherewithal, because the same engineers who worked back in the day on drive units are working on actuators now. So that's where we can do, if there is any company which can do it at scale, that is going to be us.
But we also have actually added a lot of new engineers as well to the team. So there's actually a lot of the credit for the Optimus engineering is actually also new engineers, many of them that are just out of college, actually.
Yeah.
So the Optimus engineering team is a very talented engineering team. I'd say, like, wow, actually. So, the Optimus reviews at this point are there's the engineering review, and then there's the manufacturing review being done simultaneously with an iterative loop between engineering design and manufacturing. Because then we see we design something and we say, like, oh man, that's really difficult to make. We need to change that design to make it easier to manufacture. So we've made radical improvements to the design of Optimus while increasing the functionality, but making it actually possible to manufacture. Like, I'd say Optimus 2 is almost impossible to manufacture, frankly. But to Vaibhav's point, we've gone from a person in a robot outfit to what people have seen with Optimus 2.5, where it's doing kung fu. It was like Optimus was at the Tron premiere, doing kung fu, just out in the open, like with Jared Leto. Like, there wasn't nobody was controlling it. It was just doing kung fu with Jared Leto, at the Tron premiere. You can see the videos online. Actually, the funny thing is, like, a lot of people walked past it thinking it was just a person, even though with Optimus 2.5, you can see that it has a waist that's 3 inches wide, which is obviously not a human. The movements were so human-like that a lot of people didn't realize they were looking at a robot. So, and what I'm saying is like Optimus 3 will be a giant improvement on that, animated scale. But like I said, a very difficult thing. The Optimus sort of engineering and manufacturing reviews, and there's the Friday night meeting with Optimus, which sometimes goes till midnight, and then my Saturday meeting is the Saturday afternoons with the AI 5 chip design team. So those two things are crucial to the future of the company.
Great. And Dan, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I mean, just as a related, maybe you could just talk about to what extent are the AI efforts at Tesla and xAI complementary, or are they just different forms of AI? Maybe you could just help distinguish for the audience. Thank you.
Yeah, there are different forms of AI. So the xAI, so Grok is like a giant model that you could not possibly squeeze Grok onto a car. That's for sure. It is a giant beast of a model. It's with Grok, it's trying to solve for artificial general intelligence with a massive amount of AI training compute and inference compute. So, for example, for Grok 5 will actually only run effectively on a GB300. That's how much of a beast that Grok 5 is. Whereas Tesla's, models are, I don't know, maybe about less than 10% the size, maybe closer to 5% the size of Grok. So yeah, they're really coming at the problem from very different angles. XAI and Grok are they're competing with Google Gemini and OpenAI ChatGPT and that kind of thing. And some of it's complementary. I mean, for example, for Grok Voice, being able to interact with Grok in the car is cool. Grok for Optimus voice recognition and voice generation is Grok, so that's helpful there. But they are coming at it from kind of opposite ends of the spectrum.
Alrighty. Adam, let's give it another try. When you're ready, please unmute yourself for the next question. Alrighty, unfortunately, still having audio issues. So we're going to move on to Walt from Lightshed. Walt, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Just getting back to Austin, if you can remove the safety driver at year end, is the limitation in the Bay Area just regulatory, or is it kind of the market by market learning process? And I guess similarly in the 8 to 10 markets that you mentioned to get added, is the decision there to put a safety attendant in the passenger seat or the safety driver in? Is that like your step-by-step process to opening up a market, or is it really just the regulation in the individual market?
Well, I think even if the regulators weren't making us do it, we'd still do that as the sort of right sort of cautious approach to a new market. So just to make sure that we're being paranoid about safety, I think it makes sense to have a sort of either safety driver or safety occupant in the car when we first go to new markets to confirm that there's not something we're missing. Because all it takes is like 1 in 10,000 trips to go wrong, and you've got an issue. So it's just to make sure, like, is there some peculiarity about a city, like a very difficult intersection, or I don't know, something that's an unexpected challenge. in a city for that 1 in 10,000 situation. So I think we probably could just let it loose in these cities, but we just don't want to take a chance. And like, what we're talking about here is maybe 3 months of safety driver in a new metro to confirm that it's good, and then we take the safety driver out, that kind of thing.
Okay, and then on FSD 14, it has a different feel than 13, and it's also, I think, a little different than what it feels like in Austin. Is it basically different development path that you're doing in terms of the robotaxi stuff versus what you're dropping to the early adopters? And when you push these new builds, is it that you're looking for notable improvements in intervention rates, or is that largely solved and it's more about adding the functionality like the parking, the drive modes, or just the overall comfort?
No, the first priority when we release a major new software architecture for autopilot is safety. So it starts off with safety, obviously safety prioritized, and then we solve comfort thereafter, which is why I don't recommend people take the initial version like that's why I say most people should wait until 14.2 before they actually download version 14. Because by 14.2 we will have addressed many of the comfort issues. The priority is very much safety first, and then thereafter the comfort issues. That's why most people are like, it'll be a little it'll be safe but jerky, we just need time to kind of smooth the rough edges and solve for comfort in addition to safety with a major new autopilot architecture change. But it really is. I mean, I know what the roadmap is for the Tesla real world AI and at a very granular detail. Obviously, Ashok is leading that, and I spent a lot of time with the team going, in like excruciating detail here on what we're doing to improve the real world AI. Like I said, this car is going to feel like it is a living creature, and that's with AI 4 before even AI 5.
Yeah, the roadmap is super exhilarating. It's waiting so much release all the stuff we are working on in terms of what we ship to customers versus robotaxi. It's mostly the same. Obviously, customers have some more features they can choose the car wants to park in a spot or driveway or something like that, which is not super relevant for robotaxi. But there's only a few minor changes like those ones. But the majority of the algorithms and the architecture, everything is the same between those two platforms.
Yeah, but as I mentioned earlier, we'll be adding reasoning to I don't know, Ashok, is that reasoning in 14.3, maybe 14.4, something like that?
Yeah, for by end of this year for sure.
Yeah. So with reasoning, it's literally going to think about which parking spot to pick so it's going to say this is the entrance, but actually probably there's not a parking spot right at the entrance. If it's a full, if the parking lot is fairly full, the probability of an open parking spot right at the entrance is very low. But actually, what it'll simply do is drop you off at the entrance of the store and then go find a parking spot. But it's going to get very smart about figuring out a parking spot. It's going to it's going to spot empty spots much better than a human. It's got 360-degree vision, and it's going to, like I said, just it's going to use reasoning to solve things.
And fitting that all inside the computer that has AI4 is the actual challenge. That's what the team is working on. Because obviously you can do reasoning on the server that takes forever, but then in car you need to make real-time decisions. So fitting all that into the computer that's in the car, that's the challenge.
Yeah, that's why I say I have a pretty good understanding of AI, the sort of the giant model level with Grok and with Tesla, and I'm confident in saying that Tesla has the Tesla AI has the highest intelligence density. When you look at the intelligence per gigabyte, I think Tesla AI is probably an order of magnitude better than anyone else, and it doesn't have any choice because that AI has got to fit in the AI4 computer. But the discipline of having that level of AI intelligence density will pay great dividends when you go to something that has an order of magnitude more capability like AI5. Now you have that same intelligence density, but you've got 10 times more capability in the computer.
Great. The next question will come from Colin at Oppenheimer. Colin, please unmute yourself when you're ready. Colin, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you bringing up the challenges of hand dexterity in humanoids, along with the complexity of the supply chain and the vertical integration you guys are pursuing. I'm just trying to harmonize the timeline for the start of production, next year with the current state of the supply chain, and what sounds like a fair amount of work remaining on the dexterity before you can really freeze the hardware design and start to scale up production.
Well, the hardware design will not actually be frozen even through startup production. There'll be continued iteration because a bunch of the things that you discover are very difficult to make. You only find that pretty late in the game. So we'll be doing rolling changes for the Optimus design even after startup production. But I do think that the new hand is an incredible piece of engineering. And that's well, like I said, we'll have a production intent prototype ready to show off in Q1, probably February or March, and then we're going to be building a million unit Optimus production line. Hopefully with a production start towards the end of next year. But that production ramp will take a while to get to annualized rate of 1 million because it's going to move as fast as the slowest, dumbest, least lucky thing out of 10,000 unique items. But it will get to 1 million units, and then ultimately, we'll do Optimus 4. That'll be 10 million units. Optimus 5 maybe 50 to 100 million units. I mean, it's really pretty nutty.
Alrighty. That is unfortunately all the time we have for Q&A today. Before we conclude, though, Vaibhav has some closing remarks.
Thanks, Travis. I want to take the time to talk about an extremely important vote, which is being held on November 6th. The meeting will shape the future of Tesla, and we are asking you, as our shareholders, to support Elon's leadership through the 2 compensation proposals and the re-election of Ira, Kathleen, and Joe to the board. Note that it is a team sport, and here at Tesla, the board is an integral part of the winning team. Shareholders are at the center of everything we do at Tesla, and a special committee has laid out a compensation package. Like Elon said, we don't even want to call it a compensation package.
Yeah, it's not. The point is, I just like there needs to be enough voting control to give a strong influence, but not so much that I can't be fired if I go insane. And I think that sort of number is in the mid-20s approximately. As a company that has already gone public, we've investigated every possible way to how do you achieve increased voting control without is there some way to have like a super voting stock? But there really isn't. There is no way to have a super voting stock after you've gone public. But for example, Google, Meta, many other companies have this, but they had it before they went public, and so it sort of gets, I guess, grandfathered in. Tesla does not have that, so it's just. Like I said, I just don't feel comfortable building a robot army here and then being ousted because of some asinine recommendations from ISS and Glass Lewis who have no friggin' clue. I mean, those guys are corporate terrorists. And the problem, so let me explain the core problem here is that so many of the index funds, the passive funds, vote along the lines of whatever Glass Lewis and ISS recommend. Now, they've made many terrible recommendations in the past that, if those recommendations had been followed, would have been extremely destructive to the future of the company. But if you've got passive funds that essentially defer responsibility for the vote to Glass Lewis and ISS, then you can have extremely disastrous consequences for a publicly traded company if too much of the publicly traded company is controlled by index funds. It's de facto controlled by Glass Lewis and ISS. This is a fundamental problem for corporate governance because they're not voting along the lines that are actually good for shareholders. That's the big issue. I mean, that's what it comes down to. ISS, Glass Lewis, corporate terrorism.
Yeah, and I would say, the special committee did an amazing job in constructing this plan for the benefit of the shareholders. There's nothing which gets passed on till the time shareholders make substantial returns. So that's why, in the end, I would say, I would urge you to not only vote on the plan, but also vote on all the 3 directors because of their exceptional knowledge and experience. And literally, we at Tesla work with these directors day in, day out. I mean, there is not even a single day that one of the directors I haven't spoken to or one of my colleague hasn't spoken to. And even the directors out here are not just reading out of PowerPoint presentations. They're actually working with us day in, day out. So again, I just urge you guys as shareholders to vote along the board's recommendation. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you, Vaibhav. We appreciate everyone's questions today. We look forward to talking to you next quarter. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Okay, that means we're back in action. Howdy, gang. I got James Stevenson here as well. Somebody crashing and burning there. I hope everything's okay. Anybody want to lead off? I've got plenty of notes here. I can pick in.
Yeah, so let me do my stuff before I have to head off here. So I was really excited about the miles. Sorry,
yes.
I've got somebody else going here. Anything else? Yeah, so the miles of the robotaxi, 200,000 miles for Austin, 1 million for San Francisco. So San Francisco started end of July, so it only had maybe 10 weeks to do that. It was a pretty stark incremental ramp, exponential ramp from last quarter, where they talked about like 7,000 miles for Austin. So given there's a ramp, I think most of the miles were happening in this last month, which if you say half the miles happened last 4 weeks or so, then 600,000 miles, you're looking at about 6% of what Waymo's doing, and probably needs at least 100 cars to get those kind of miles. So that's an important thing to do. The other thing was for those miles, Austin, if you had 100,000 miles or whatever, 250,000 miles, there's still only the one incident, which was a truck backing up into Dave Lee. That's reported for Austin, and those are updated up to October because Waymo has had I think over 100 incidences in the Austin area. So basically, still clean driving in Austin, and getting scale up towards near Waymo levels. And then if they're saying they're going to remove the Waymo monitor by the end of the year, then you're going to be having large numbers of miles. If you then could 10x the cars, then you could be pretty much instantly at the Waymo scale by the end of the year. FSD14, they're going to go to an FSD14 Lite for hardware 3 to see how good that would be. And that's going to be, I think, Q2 of 2026 when they said that. They did give guidance on car volume production, like I was hoping for some kind of forward guidance. And that statement by Elon, get to 3 million cars within 24 months is basically a kind of squishy kind of guidance, which basically would be 50% or more, 60% over current levels of production in 24 months at a run rate. So if you were to kind of convert it into an annualized number, if it was equal in 2026 and 2027, you'd be looking at about 20% volume growth. Although again, it was not as firm as that kind of statement, but just getting that strong stuff about AI5, replacing GPU and having high efficiency, and then getting to a really large distributed inference AI system, which back in the napkin kind of calculated out to 1 kilowatt per vehicle. So if you have 10 million vehicles, that'd be 10 gigawatts, which is a massive data center, because we're talking about building gigawatt and multi-gigawatt data centers. So Meta is looking to make one by 2030 that's going to have like 2 gigawatts in Louisiana, costing $27 billion. So having 10 gigawatts of AI inference is worth, $270 billion, in some calculations. And then 14.3, thing had that kind of reasoning, and that you would drop off someone, you driving, you dropped off at the door where you're going to go, and then the car would go park itself. That'd be a full dispatch. And then he was saying that the tipping point, we kept talking about being able to sit in the back seat. He's saying the tipping point is when you can use your phone safely while driving. He thinks that's the point where people will go crazy for the cars, and the demand will shoot off the hook. So those, I think, were the main things that I saw.
Okay, Randy Kirk, you're up next. What do you got for us?
Okay, so about 5 months ago, I was listening. I think it was to the it wasn't All In. I think it was to the WTF podcast with Peter Diamandis, and this is when it struck me, because they talked about he who controls the stack completely. The more of the stack you control, the better off you are, because if you don't control everything in the stack, then somebody else has basically got you, on a tether. So the book that we've just finished is 50% of it is about the stack. And this is what Elon was talking about here in this particular call so much. They are controlling everything from raw materials, in terms of lithium, and then what do we call it? Not just mining, but also refining the lithium, and then building the batteries and building the cars, building the data center. I mean, they are the king of data. They have the most advanced data center. Then they have the most advanced chip. They are controlling the stack from one end to the other. And that is the thing that I think, if everybody understood, if the investing public had some clue as how important that is, and that none of the other hyperscalers have this, not one. Google probably comes the closest, but none of the other hyperscalers come close to Tesla in terms of having this complete end-to-end stack in terms of their capability. So that was one of the big takeaways, was how they did, bring that up again as to how important that is. And then there was one other thing, and I'm forgetting. Oh, I know. As Brian said, in terms of the capacity, I was a little shocked by that. That the current buildings only have the capacity to get to 3 million cars at a run rate by the end of 24 months. And quite frankly, I thought it was a lot more. In fact, I think Brian White's been on my program when we've tried to figure it out a couple of times, or I've been on his. It could have been either way. So they theoretically, then what I was hearing out of that is that they probably have to break ground this year on another building, because he says they're going to expand capacity as fast as they possibly can, and that their max capacity 2 years from now is 3 million. If that's true, and they can't do both unless they would be breaking ground on another facility, probably by mid-year, in order to be able to be looking at 24 months out, where they'll be going past that 3 million number. So those were my two takeaways.
Well, what I would say, what I would ask is, are we worried about the amazing new AI 5, the Wizard of Osborne, it sounds like. It's 40x better, and I think that may result in a person or two holding off on making a purchase before it's released.
Well, there's always that Osborne effect.
Yeah.
Well, they've said that they're going to make good on the hardware 3. They can have the light version. So in terms of like actually being able to get the features you want from FSD and Robotaxi, they're saying that they'll solve it. And it seems like AI4 should be sufficient for the safer than human driving part of it. So even though AI5 is better, I don't think it's they're not saying what you're going to get other than the fact that it'll do distributed AI. It's going to be doing so much. It's more that you would be able to get it where you're making money off your car if they're paying you for inference. So, but that's something that we can see, but I think most people aren't factoring that into the purchase decision.
People see bigger, they think bigger's better. A higher number. Higher number wins. I'm getting a lot of echo, Brian.
Echo.
Yeah,
hey,
but go ahead.
I'm gonna salute off here, and
yes,
we have work to do, Brian. So
that means we're going to be losing a Wang and a Kirk.
There you go.
Which is not ideal, but hey, what are you going to do? Thank you guys for hanging out. James and I will discuss a few more things before we let the audience get back to their day already in progress. Again, apologies that this is not MTV Spring Break with your host, Mario Lopez, but you can't win them all, First things first, audio was actually good. What's going
Excellent. Hey, great.
I couldn't believe it.
I checked the box in the setup that said echo prevention, so I guess that works to prevent echo.
It was weird on Brian Wang's. His was also checked, but it was not. It was not working. He said, we can see where FSD is at. We are ramping production of Cybercab. To me, that is very encouraging. Am I crazy?
No, we should see ramping of Cybercab. What you know the business about the limit of 2,500 cars per manufacturer for steering wheel and pedals not being in the car. What's your current thinking on that?
So the previous guideline was 2,500 per country, all manufacturers combined in total, and then they just got waivers over that. They just print waivers. I mean, it's a rubber stamp. If you're safe enough, they don't care. The transportation department is not the most activist right now. They're not really doing much. So those waivers they're just granted. And for that matter, Zoox never applied for a permit. They just operated and said, oh, we don't need to. We don't count, and never got in trouble. They are now have their permits. So that it's the weirdest, most arbitrary rule. And like so many things NHTSA does, it doesn't make any sense. And it's just kind of something you have to...
The Zoox operation you're mentioning is the one in Las Vegas that picks you up from a casino, takes you on a loop around the strip, and then drops you off exactly where it picked you up.
Yeah, point to the same point travel. It's amazing. But they've been operating for years.
It's like a theme park attraction. It's just dropping you off exactly where it picked you up. I don't know what productive purpose that serves except as entertainment.
Fundraising. If you look at like the Boston Dynamics robot, it was people said, oh, it can do parkour. It can't do valuable work. It can't do it without 100 takes. It's like, well, no, you misunderstand the purpose. The purpose is raising funds. It's got their next round. It's good. They're good to go. So then you've got, Zoox. How hard would it be to code FSD if it's basically on rails? Not that hard. It's not that hard.
Well,
it is.
The factory, there was a tour of the original Gigafactory in Sparks, Nevada, posted 5 or 6 years ago with a robot that played the Super Mario Brothers theme song as it would drive itself around following a piece of magnetic tape on the floor.
Right.
And
Right.
if something was in its way, it would stop. And then when something got out of its way, it would proceed. Like that's essentially the level of difficulty they had to engineer for, right?
If you look at the automated ports in China and Germany and other places, I assume, they're already performing this exact dance. This choreography is solved. There is traffic that gets in the way. They stop, they wait their turn, and there you go. A little more unpredictable with humans in the mix, but not much. Okay. Easy one. We can double the effective production of the grid by storing a little bit of it. Reasonable.
Yes, that makes the way that Elon laid out the case for that made sense. Hey, we've got all this production capacity because you have to be able to produce enough to meet the highest demand minute of the highest demand hour of the highest demand day of the year. But then the rest of the time, you've got more capacity than you need. So, yeah, the average demand is about half, he said, of the total production capacity. So you could double your usage of electricity, of power output, if you just had enough battery storage to hold some of that.
Will you double check you're on the correct mic?
Okay. I had to rejoin.
Yeah, I saw. Elon did say we're going to be poking robots. That's exciting. What's not to like? Let's see. Insurance is improving, to which I would ask, is it? Is it actually improving? Because I'm not.
It's telling me I'm on the right mic. So that's
okay.
That's
I'm
this guy right here.
I'm on garbage headphones, so I can't tell.
Okay.
Because my other slightly less garbage headphones are dying because whatever. I've got expensive ones, they just don't stay in. Let's see. Robotaxi metrics, 8 to 10 metros this year.
Yeah. And if you follow that guy who's got the spreadsheet going that shows you the progress to date so far in Florida and Arizona and other places that we haven't seen yet, like there's 4 metro areas just in Florida. Like if they can get those done December 30th, they can check that box and call it good, right?
Absolutely can.
So yeah, I was taking notes during the meeting. It sounds like you were as well.
I was taking notes. You caught me. Speaking of Florida, I'm gonna be there in a couple of weeks. Right after the shareholder meeting, I get back, I get sorted, and then I get my butt back on the plane to Cyberfest and Furious. So, I'll be there. Yeah, that'll be a thing. Let's see. Optimist Obstacles. I had a chance to interview Dr. Scott Walter last week, and it was exactly what he said. The dexterity of the hand is challenging. Fitting all of that mechanics into the forearm without looking like Popeye becomes challenging. And it sounds to me like they are far enough away that version 3's release is not scheduled because in terms of dexterity, he said we can achieve it with an immense amount of work. It tells me it hasn't been achieved.
I bet we're going to see some competitors that do make Popeye forearm robots or robots that have stuff sticking out of their forearm that they just have to train it to not snag on stuff while they're working.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful to see robots with more than 2 arms because sometimes you need to hold the ladder while working with both hands, perhaps. I mean, there are a lot of, you've got 2 bags and you need to open the door. I mean, I guess you could just put hooks.
Well, we've all had
side.
moms who said, I've only got 2 hands, right?
Mm-hmm. And she didn't actually have eyes in the back of her head. Optimus does. On the, let's see, AI 5 is going to delete the GPU chip. What's that about? Is that, I don't understand. Is it just no longer needed? Is it beyond my pay grade?
I'm getting some audio and video interruptions, so I didn't
Pretty
hear
real.
the question. Is what no longer needed?
The GPU chip on AI 5.
So what I heard, and maybe I heard it wrong, is that what had been misreported is that Tesla was going to have TSMC do AI 5 and Samsung do AI 6. And I think what I heard Elon clarify is that they want both TSMC and Samsung making AI 5. And because Samsung has manufacturing capabilities that TSMC doesn't have that are very advanced and sophisticated, they will be the sole source provider of AI 6 chips. Is that what you heard?
Yes. I had also been hearing in the news that they were going to skip that one for 5 and go straight to 6. This is clarification, as I understand it. I did like how he said, okay, so unsupervised FSD, that's already been covered. We already covered that. And I was like, did we? Did we cover that?
Did we already cover AI 5?
No, just unsupervised FSD. Oh, the next question's about unsupervised FSD. We covered that. Did we?
Well, he did say he was 100% confident in solving unsupervised FSD, right?
When? I mean, yes, but he's been saying that since I was a baby. He says a lot of things. Okay.
It encourages me when I hear Elon say the same things this year that he has been saying for many years now. So one of the things he said is there are millions of cars out there that with a software update will become self-driving cars. And I remember him saying that 6 years ago, and he's still charging towards that goal. And a lot of folks who have joined the party since then won't recognize that as having been his long-term objective. But as an owner of a Hardware 3 vehicle, I'm happy to hear him keep saying it.
He's also been saying 2 weeks or the end of next year since 2016. But, you know,
I think
hey,
there's a
when
difference.
you're doing something for the first time, you don't always know where the finish line is.
Yeah, when you're doing something no one has ever done before, it's difficult to provide an accurate assessment of how long it will take to do because you don't have a reference point for it. Speaking of reference points, I mentioned a robotaxi expansion chart earlier. People are probably wondering, what did you mean? What account should I follow on X? It is Jonathan W. Stokes, who I discovered is keeping up with that rollout info, and he's got way more than 8 metro areas listed on this chart where robotaxi is in some stage or another of expansion.
Let's see. On that, I've had a lot of people saying, "Oh, Hardware 3's been abandoned." It was nice to hear that it has not. That they can't. They once, by Q2, they expect to have V14 Lite running on Hardware 3. And I've been trying to tell people, I mean, for one thing, a good chunk of your compute is consumed by the cabin camera, looking at the driver and determining what you're really doing.
Oh, good point.
Once you get rid of that, you got a little bit of more overhead available.
Yeah, you can free up a lot of processor space if you no longer need to monitor the driver for attention. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we don't know how much we can compress it until we finish doing whatever it is. And the bottom line is whatever happens, we'll make it right. And that's good because there's a lot of Hardware 3 cars out there.
And time is on their side because every year more of those Hardware 3 cars leave the roads forever.
And as a percentage of cars sold, the percentage is always getting smaller, even without attrition. The self-driving semi, we did get an answer. You had to kind of thread the needle to find it, but the answer is we're not working on that right now. But once they get out there, we will begin gathering enough data to meaningfully approach it. So
I love the way Ashok answered the question. He phrased it, we have the team focused on passenger cars now, but once they're satisfied that that's working, it'll be easy to transfer over to semi. So yeah, you've still got a suite of cameras. They're in different places on a semi vehicle than they are on the rest of the fleet, but you can solve that problem. That's not a showstopper.
There are additional challenges in that not every trailer is the same length or the same weight. They will perform very differently in windy areas. You may need to predict that. Looking at crosswinds is something you'll need to address the way a human would. And for that matter, backing up with a trailer is very different than just backing up. But all of those are solvable problems.
Well, yeah,
Just
if
not
you're
today.
if you're hauling logs out of the forest with a red flag tied onto the end of the log that sticks out over the end the farthest, that you gotta somehow calculate that into, can I merge safely into the next lane or not? Yeah,
Yes,
good point.
new challenges. Let's see, we've got. Will it replace trains? No. Trains are very good. We discussed it in the pre-show. Very good at long range, very good at efficiency. They're on rails. They don't have steep grades. They don't have much rolling resistance, but they also don't go to your house or your warehouse necessarily. Very few warehouses have rail that comes right to the facility.
Yeah, there are
So-
use cases that will not be overtaken by semi. The one that I thought of was grain. If you're trying to ship grain from grain silos to people who buy grain, that is a point-to-point transaction already. If you've been all over the world, you've seen these enormous grain silos. They're right on the railroad tracks for that reason, so that they can go directly to where they need to go. And you would not want to try to do that with a whole bunch of Tesla semis trying to load grain.
And a lot of them don't have roads to them. They're just built on the edge of the farm on the rail
Yeah,
line.
they're out in the field.
Yeah. So that is one good example. Yeah. And we don't need to get rid of rail. I don't think that's the objective. There's nothing wrong with it. It'd be nice if it was more robust and efficient, but that's a very expensive idea. Let's see. Yeah. We all heard the same thing. Tesla could hit a run rate of 3 million by the end of 2027. It sounded like Brian Wang heard him say, we will hit a run rate of that. I did not hear that. I heard could. And that would be where the headroom kind of tops out.
I can tell you which note I took down if I can find it.
Yeah.
In my notes. I took hundreds of lines of notes, as I normally do during earnings calls, and then I go back and I listen to it again, and I update my notes and add stuff to it.
It was nice to hear the reiteration of an inference fleet. You and I mentioned that a little bit ago. Yeah, I don't know what it would pay. But
okay, my note that I took was our capacity isn't 3 million. It will be at some point, aspirationally 3 million within 24 months, I think, maybe less. That is not a guarantee of 3 million in 24 months.
No.
And he said
No.
there's an entire vast supply chain to think about with that. We're going to expand production as fast as we can, as fast as our suppliers can keep up. And we're to build incremental factories, Elon said. So that there's an S on that. That's a plural for incremental factories. And they've got a lot of space in Austin where they could build incremental factories. They own a bunch of land around the headquarters.
Well, Tesla in Austin also has time. The lines are only running basically 410s, one shift of 410s. It's really 12 hours, what with breaks and starting a little early and late. They could double that, and then add an additional shift for the weekends or whatever it takes. You can run 4 shifts a week, 3-4 shifts. So we have more capacity than we're using today. That's why we now have the YS, and hopefully before the end of next year, the YL. And the YL, you don't have to add it in both US factories. Just one would be, I assume, sufficient.
Yeah, sounds right. The year of the Model Y, Vaibhav Taneja said in his opening remarks. Yeah.
How do you make the best-selling car in the world sell better?
You can't
Tesla,
do better than first place.
No, it's tricky. But if you combine all of your 10 different cars and just call them all Corolla, that does pretty good for Toyota.
Even the SUVs, you call it the Corolla Cross, and then you count it.
Yeah. So just change the name of the Model 3 to the Y Short. And there we go. And the X to we'll just call them all.
Yeah, make them all the Model Y something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the Model Y wingy for the X. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Normal. AI. Hey, do you guys see having AI applications outside of your core competency? What does that mean?
Well, I've heard that MBA speak before in corporate environments and higher education environments, and people do think they sound smart, saying, well, you need to focus on your core competencies. You don't want to try to venture out into doing things that other companies are the best at, because you won't be able to figure out how to be as good at that stuff as they are. But Elon had a pretty lengthy and well-documented reply to the dozens of startups that the company Tesla is, and all the things they did not know how to do before they decided to do them, and now are the best in the world at doing them.
Chargers. You can't also build chargers. We can really fast, really efficiently, cheaper than anybody else. Stationary storage. That's a utility thing. Why would you guys even? Because we can. And we're good at it.
They solved superchargers so well that everyone else stopped trying to solve it. They said, okay, we give up. We'll just adopt your standard for supercharging and for plugs on our cars. You've got the best solution. We can't do better than that.
I was at a event a while back, and one of the presentations was on how to road trip in an EV, and here's how you have to plan it. And I was looking at it, and my kids were there. They recorded. They were on my film crew, and they were like, "What are they talking about? Just put in the destination and go. If you don't like the charger, pick a different one." I was like, "Don't spoil it for them." Let them. It's weird, man. It's weird. It's true that Optimus can do kung fu on the red carpet with Jared Leto in ways a human can't, and that's because robots can't feel shame.
Oh, I thought the kung fu was okay.
Oh no, the kung fu was fine. It was the Jared Leto part.
Yeah, he didn't seem that into it. I'm not sure anybody told him there was going to be a kung fu event for him to respond to. So.
Yeah, it's more training data, and it was fun when we saw the kung fu demo. Was it Gary Black said there is no use in the world for this, and you said, well, Hollywood would love it, and then 2 days later, Hollywood was and we're like,
Oh, yeah, that was funny. He said it needs to be able to do useful work. I was like, there's a thing called the entertainment industry, right? Because that is useful work. They do make money selling entertainment to people. You can be a performer and people will pay for that service. That's a business. Maybe it's not a business you own any stock in, but that's useful work.
Well, they've been using a robot to do the Spider-Man stunts at Disney World for years now because it's doing stunts that are too dangerous for a human. If something goes wrong, it's not, no one's life is fundamentally altered. It's just money.
I actually know the WDI research and development Imagineer who worked on that project and shared some videos of the trapeze work training for that. Spider-Man bot. It's a pretty amazing work assignment to get. You know, I forget the name of the movie where Seth Rogen is watching a Las Vegas Cirque du Soleil event. And he's high on mushrooms and giggling about how they're at work right now. They're working.
That sounds like I Love You Man. Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, someone in the chat can tell us.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting close to the end of
funnier the
mine.
way it happened in the movie than the way I just told it. But yeah.
There are 12 kinds of chairs in this room.
Yes, that's
why
the
are there
movie.
so many chairs?
You saw it.
Yeah, I just don't remember which movie it is. B14, different development path and objective. It's like, well, I'm not sure what your question is, but what Elon said that I thought was interesting was, yeah, maybe you guys should wait for 14.2. It's like, really?
Yeah, I've never heard that advice given out before by Elon or anybody else that the first version is jerky. Like, I guess you wouldn't want to say that, would you? But when they make a brand new point number or whatever you call the new release version, it's going to be jerkier because they don't prioritize yet for comfort. They prioritize first for safety. And then once they're satisfied that the safety is working, then they move on to comfort and smoothness and soft, supple rides, etc.
Well, I figured they just trained it on Elon's driving because Elon himself is safe, if a bit jerky.
Come
on.
I'll be here all week, folks. Tip your waitresses. Enjoy the veal.
Yeah. So the only other thing I had was Colin from Oppenheimer saying, so is it the dexterity or the supply chain holding Optimus back? And Elon kind of saying, were you not here? I mean, did you mute me too? Because I feel like that's what we've been talking about for an hour.
Yeah, well, boring, boneheaded questions are not cool, is a quote from Elon Musk a few years ago before he cut somebody off and said, let's go to YouTube. And he took,
let's go to Galley.
Took 10 questions in a row from Galileo Russell that were all far better than the dumb questions that had already been answered in the investor letter that the analysts didn't read. Come on, folks, pay attention to the proceedings, and then you won't waste everyone's time asking a question that's already been answered. Yeah.
Yes, I do want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. I want to thank you, James. Appreciate your time as always. It is a treat. Guys, in the comments, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? And if you're catching this on the replay, definitely let me know, because that's wild. Can't believe it. Everybody else, like, subscribe, smack thumbs, head over to James's channel, find out what he is up to. He's always charting it up. He steals the credit for his charts. He steals from Loki, which I find very upsetting. Loki is famously a very good boy. And we'll see, he was supervising the whole time.
Loki. He's been supervising all the proceedings here the whole time. Yeah.
Everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when next we meet, perhaps in Tampa.